Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Goodest cast. And on this episode, we have Mike Burroughs. Mike Burroughs started StanceWorks, which originally was a blog, and then it turned into a forum where everybody learned how to fit cars and learn how to pick wheel specs and make cars look really good. Mike Burroughs has had a huge impact on the automotive community over the last 2 decades. We talk about his progression from being a photographer to building some of the craziest cars this planet's ever seen. We talk about the F40 build, which is like unreal what he's taking on. We talk about motivation and what it takes to finish these insane projects in the final hour. Mike Burroughs, check it out. Hard-hitting questions, just kidding. It's sick to be here.
Thank you.
We're sitting in between a pretty much to the shell F40 and a Harley Davidson.
It is eclectic to say the least. There's a lot of random stuff in here, but it's all fun. It's a fun space to be in. It feels like home. I've been in the shop for 15 years now, so there's a lot of crap, but it's my crap. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I don't know anything about like your origin or like how this started. Like I discovered StanceWorks like every other kid who liked cars and went on the internet because it was a powerhouse. I'm curious like how StanceWorks started, how you fell in love with all this insane stuff that you've been doing, the photography. Like I want to cover all that, but like what is the origin?
So setting the stage here, 2009. It's a long time ago. I don't like actually saying that. 16 years ago. Sitting in my college bedroom in the house I was renting, and first and foremost, like, I don't know, I guess the name popped in my head one day, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I want to do something with that. And then it was, okay, what should I do? And I really wanted a place to post my photos from going to different car shows and taking my car to places. The photos I was taking of my car. I was in school for photography at the time. I thought that's what I was going to do with my life, was be a photographer. And so it was, okay, I need an outlet for these photos that I'm taking. Well, I'll start a blog. And this was in the blog heyday. I was tired of posting stuff on forums because that's really how all of us communicated at that point.
Yeah.
You know, this was before any other form of social media. And so at some point it was like, okay, I'm posting to the same audience of the same, 100 or so active dudes on these BMW forums. Where else can I put this? So I started a blog, WordPress blog, StanceWorks, and I want to say the rest is history. I know that's glossing over 16 years, but it just evolved from there. I started a forum to go with it so that there was a place for like-minded guys to just come in and post their cars, what they were working on. Because at that time, the whole, we'll call it stance, or even just like the wheel and tire fitment arena was controversial. Like anything that wasn't totally stock factory fitment was going to start an argument if you posted it on a forum. And I wanted a place where I didn't have to deal with that, and we could just focus on having fun with our cars. There weren't any rules. Let's just focus on making them look good or making them go fast, or a combination of both, with nobody barking at us about how we're like ruining these cars or what have you. And so that's kind of how it all began, was, hey, let's create almost this like lawless land of, we can just do whatever we want here. And over the course of, a handful of years, automotive blogs as a whole really took off. That was when, right around the same time that Speed Hunters got started, and then you really picked up the pace. And then you had things like the Illust/Hella Flush blog way back for the old listeners out there.
Yeah.
And, there's a handful of other ones too. Unfortunately, pretty much all of them are dead at this point. Nobody reads blogs anymore. And so that's when I pivoted to YouTube. I realized like I'm pouring my heart and soul into articles that no one's reading anymore. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants that just sit down, read long format content. But if I want to still have a means to an end to do what I love and kind of still tell some form of a story, then I got to pivot. And so that's where YouTube went, and now I'm here.
The YouTube stuff's working.
Yeah, I literally this morning hit 400,000 subscribers, so I'm pretty excited. That's not really a milestone. Like, I mean, it is, but it's not like a consequential one. But it's getting close to 500,000, and that feels like a real one.
Yeah, I mean, I being somebody who's in the YouTube world, that's a big number.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's rewarding that there's that many people out there that want to follow along and watch what I do, that support what I do. Like, I think that's a really important thing. Anytime somebody at this point comes up to me and says, "Hey, I watch your episodes," or what have you, which happens with increasing frequency when I'm, especially if I'm at an automotive anything. And I always try to make sure I say, like, "Hey, because you watch is why I get to do what I do. So thank you for doing it. Like, I couldn't do this if you didn't watch." So to have that number of people that want to continue to see what's coming, they want to come back and watch it again. It's incredible. And when I sit down and I think about, like, how many is 100,000 people watching an episode, or 400,000 people, like, you think about a stadium full of people for an NFL game, the Super Bowl even,
Yeah.
and it's like, you think about what it would be like to stand down in the middle of that field and address everybody there, and there's 100,000 people there.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a wild thing. I'd freak out if I had to do that, by the way. But
sitting in a football stadium with an angle grinder cutting up some
everybody
sort
watching
of
you, what you do.
fabricating some piece of metal is horrifying.
It would not be fun to do, but I try to, like, ground myself and think about that on occasion, especially when I have, like, a video that feels like it's not performing well, and it's like, oh, I hit 80,000 views today. And it's like, nah, dude, 80,000 people is a crazy number of people. That's absolutely insane. So it's really a special feeling to be at this point, to have a career out of it, to get to do what I love to do here, and then to get to employ my friends to help make it happen. They get to have, I hope, some version of their dream job. Like, we don't work hard, so to speak. Like, we have fun. I try to make sure that this is, like, the place to be, and we just hang out and we are all into what we do. And I feel like that's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
So
you get to go racing in a Honda powered Ferrari.
What's cooler than that?
Yeah, not much. So starting in the forum days, there was 100 people looking at your build thread, and half of them are irate that you would put, like a 18.5 instead of a 7.5 inch wide wheel.
Yeah.
Like, the automotive community has changed so much over this time. Like, in a million years, would you have ever expected the word, let alone the word stance, and, like, what stance culture is, to become what it is today? Because it was tiny.
I definitely didn't expect it to become what it is. And I feel like there's this really interesting kind of, like, arc to it where, in transparency, like, I hate my brand name at this point because I feel like it pigeonholes me. Like, I get comments all the time that say, like, if they're not familiar with the brand, they're like, what is StanceWorks doing building a race car? Like, what's going on here? I don't understand. And it is what it is. That could be a discussion in and of itself. But the word stance, when we started, didn't have a meaning. We were there for the genesis of it, know, and then we tried to pioneer what it meant, and then it got taken over. And it honestly, at one point, almost became this, like, bad thing, right? Like, almost a bad word. There are a lot of, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but, like, a lot of kids out there at the time that were just destroying cars in the name of trying to go crazier than the last person. Yeah. And that's when I kind of had to look around and realize, like, this is not what I wanted this to be. This was just a celebration of automotive style. Like, every car, every vehicle has stance to it. It's almost like a synonym for presence, right? Like, that's what it meant initially. And that evolved into really focusing on, I mean, I know that you and I will agree, wheels and tires make a car. Like, it is the most
1,000%.
important decision you can make to the aesthetic and therefore the presence choice of a car, like, through and through. And that's what the initial focus was on. And then it kind of went crazy. And now it's coming back around, and I think it has matured a bit. And so that part's good, but it's been a wild ride to get to this point. I definitely didn't expect when we started a blog, 16 years ago, that it was going to get to where it is now. That's for sure.
I mean, even just driving around, you're going to see a car with, like, pretty decent fitment, like, every single day now. Back then, it was like you had to go to a car show, and even then, most of the people would mess it up. Like,
well, I think one thing that's, like, really cool to look back at is, like, the early days of when we got started doing what we were doing. I can go back and, like, look at my photos of my BMW at the time or what have you. And, like, yeah, there were some really aggressive setups, but there were other ones where it was like, let's call it just, like, flush fitment, nobody was really doing, like the big tire, but also flush. There was always still some like stretch involved and whatnot as part of the style. But I remember this like turning point a long time ago when the OEMs were applying that style to their concept cars. So like these concept cars, the radical visions for them, they would always have like really flush wheels and like they'd have that aggressive low slung stance, no fender gap at all, right?
Yeah.
And that was the moment I wanted to turn around to everybody that had been like naysaying what we were up to. And it's like, I told you guys, this looks cool. I'm telling you, it looks cool.
Yeah.
This is the future. The OEMs are embracing it. And now if you look at, I'll call it performance cars at least, but like look at the way a new, 911, whatever special models, we'll go with a GT3 RS because that's the only one I know.
It's
but
fitted.
It's like that car, the way that it sits coming off the showroom floor 15 years ago would have made people upset. They'd have been like, you're going to ruin that car. It's too low. It looks stupid. It looks goofy, broken. You're trying to fit too much tire on it, blah, blah, blah. Like,
It's going to rub.
Yeah, it's going to rub. And it's like, nah. We have evolved to the point where like even factory cars have a conscious effort on the way that they look and the way that they sit, the way that the wheels and tires fill the wells and what have you. Like, I think it's really cool to see that has become an important part, an appreciated part of the overall way that cars look, even from like a factory perspective. So that has been kind of the upside of this whole arc is everyone pays attention to it now.
Yeah. And it's kind of amazing how many people don't realize how important it is, but it's like visually, it just like, it sets it apart. And I think some, it's like, it's hard to do. It's, you're doing math, you're doing like offset math, you're doing, I would go, when I first got my E36, I went on the StanceWorks forums and I went through the wheel fitment thread and
Yep.
I'm like, no, yes, okay, order that spec. I'm like, having that was the cheat codes, like, because otherwise you're just kind of guessing and you're like putting spacers on and trying to measure the fender distance. Like, it does take a lot of effort, and I think a lot of people kind of overlook that. And now it's like, if you don't do it,
it's an integral part of making sure your car is like a complete package, right?
Yeah.
And I think I was having a discussion with somebody the other day about the first impression somebody gets when they look at your car. You don't necessarily get to decide what they think, but you get to put forth your best effort to leave the mark you want to leave or impart upon them, right? Like, you get an attempt to give them a takeaway from it. And so like an extreme version of that would be like my rusty BMW. When that came out, there wasn't like a baseline for what somebody expected to think when they saw it. So it's like, okay, so what do I want them to think of, or how do I want them to feel when they see it? And that's a crazy version of that, but that same thing still exists even all the way down to like, let's just call it a stock car that's been lowered and has wheels and tires on it. Like, your decision in wheel, tire, ride height, all those types of things alone and the way that those fit says an immense amount to the person who winds up seeing it, especially that first time. And so there's like a huge difference between, we could call it an otherwise stock E36 that's on BBS E87s or that's on VSKFs, right? Like, those two, even if they fit the same, there's a huge message difference between those two and what you want to impart on somebody when they see it that tells about your style, what you're into. And then you start pairing it with the rest of those things. It's that whole first impression thing, I think, is like a really big part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is kind of like in drifting, because it's like a performance-based sport. There is kind of like people who appreciate wheel fitment and those who don't. And they're like, it's a race car, why should I care? But like, when you see a race car that also has good wheel fitment, and like, even if they're meaty and they're flat, it's just like, I don't know, it commands a bit more attention and like appreciation, and there's like something in your brain that goes like, that's cool,
Yeah. I think as far as drifting, that's like, and I'm going to butcher this, especially to a drifting audience, so forgive me, everybody, but like I'm going to call it the final bout aspect of drifting. Like, the audience that participates in that is the side of it that captivates me, because there's such an emphasis on the style. Like, and to me, drifting is about, the whole thing is about style. Like, what you're doing with the cars is about style. The cars should be styled too. And so I think the sacrifice of style in pursuit of performance makes sense in some things and not in others. And I even find myself like, could I make this car faster if I wanted to sacrifice aspects of its style? Yeah, but I'm not going to do that, because what good is going fast if you don't look good doing it? And so the final bout aspect of, and aspect's probably the wrong word, but like that side of drifting versus just like the all out performance side of it is so much more appealing to me for that reason.
That's exciting. It just looks cool.
It looks cool. That's the whole point.
What were your inspirations getting into photography, cars, building? Like, how did it all come to play? Like, were you showing up to car shows and shooting photos? Like,
it all goes hand in hand. So my E36, the one right over here. So I've had that for, I think it's 19 years this year. It wasn't my first car, but it may as well be. Got it while I was in high school. And when I bought it, I wanted to share it again on the BMW forum. And my mom had, I think it was a Nikon D70, if I remember, really old digital camera at this point. And I can't remember why she had it. I think maybe for like product photos for work or something, but I asked to borrow it. I wanted to take photos of my car so I could share them on the forum, and I wanted to do it better than, at the time, the only real other option was like a point and shoot. And so I borrowed her camera, and I went at night behind my high school where the dumpsters were, because there were like some overhead lights that lit the parking lot, and I snapped some photos, and at the time I thought they were so sick. And I still have them saved. They're so bad. They're just awful photos, but I thought that they were cool, and I edited them in, I think it was like iPhoto, and I cranked the contrast and the saturation. I mean, they just look so bad, but I posted them up, and I was like, hey, this was pretty cool. I had fun doing that. And of course, at the time, people were like, man, these photos are sick. And, you know, nobody knew what they were doing. At least we didn't, a bunch of kids. And from there was that step-by-step, like, okay, well, I'm going to go back out. I'm going to take some more photos. And the interest in photography came solely from, I wanted to take photos of my car so I could share it on the forum and interact with people. You know, I can't call it like building a car at the time. I wasn't doing that. I mean, I think like coilovers and wheels and tires was like, that was it for that thing until I finally decided to swap the engine. But yeah, I think just taking photos of my car was where it all began. And even in that earliest aspect of it, I was like, you know, I was getting asked as I was getting through high school. It's like, okay, well, what are you going to go to school for? I had no idea. I think I had like mentioned to my parents, oh, I want to like work on cars. I want to go to, you know, whether it was like UTI or Wyotech or something like that. Yeah. And they were like, maybe not, you know, like they would have supported me if I like put my foot down. Cause my parents are like the most supportive people in the world. But, you know, they really, I think, wanted me to go to like, you know, a traditional college and do just a more typical job, you know, have like a career. Not to say that working on cars is not a career. And so I was like, okay, well then I'll go to school for photography. And they were like, all right, go for it. And so that's what I did until I dropped out. Cause the StanceWorks blog was getting to a point where it was like, okay, I either need to take this seriously and give this like a full-time shot and move to California, or I need to like kind of like let this opportunity pass and finish going to school. And so I distinctly remember going to my parents, my mother and stepdad, and saying, I sat them down at the kitchen table and I was like, okay, I had this like whole pitch. I was like, I want to drop out of college and move to California and run my blog full time. And I thought that they were going to say, you know, over my dead body. There was never an option to like take a gap year or not go to school. Like I had to do something. And I thought there was just no way this was going to fly. But they had said, yeah, we've been waiting for this. We knew this was coming. Yeah. And we support it fully. Like, go for it. And so like next day I withdrew from my classes and moved out here.
Why California?
It's where the heart of the automotive aftermarket and automotive culture is, you know. There's not nearly as much happening in Middle Tennessee. So
fair enough.
But that's kind of the arc of getting into photography, and then like how it pairs in with being into cars. They were like completely tied together. The photography was a way to share the cars, and the cars was always the subject of photography. Like I've never taken photos of anything else. It's been, I mean, some product photos for people here and there when somebody needs something on white or like a, some setup stage photo, but literally only cars. That was it. No portraiture, nothing else. And even in school, one of the most like distinct memories I had was I had 2 photo professors. One of them, she was such a supportive person. She saw my automotive work because I had to like bring it in for something. And she pulled me aside one day after class. She was like, I'm not supposed to do this, but I don't think you should be here. You should just be out shooting. You're good at what you do. You don't need me to teach you this. Like, if you want my advice, like your degree isn't going to be what gets you work as a photographer. It's your work, your portfolio. You need to be out shooting. And
Whoa.
That was surprising to hear from a professor, right? And that was really cool. That was, again, part of what got my head thinking about, okay, maybe I should drop out. But on the other hand, we had to bring, for my color photo class, or color 2 was a film class, we had to bring in the work of an artist that we looked up to. And I don't know if you're familiar with Lindbergh Wynn.
Yep.
Very well-known automotive photographer.
Absolutely.
Very talented guy, amazing guy. I still hold him in such high regard. At the time, we had like interacted online and whatnot, and I think I had taken a trip out to California for something, and he was kind enough to get together with me, and we had dinner at one point, which was like, that was like meeting my hero. This guy was who I looked up to in every regard. He was the best photographer on the planet as far as I was concerned. And I got to meet him and have lunch or dinner with him or whatever it was. And yeah, we had this like, at the time, like distant, but we had like this kind of online relationship, friendship going on. He was just always supportive. And I took his work into this photo class and used it as the example of what I wanted to achieve with my work and career. And my photo professor tore me down in front of the whole class. And he kind of said, what did you do? Did you just look up automotive photographer on Google? What is this? This isn't a real career. You think you just want to go take photos of cars? That's what you want to do? And it was in front of the entire class, and I was horrifically embarrassed. It was like, I remember it so distinctly. It was an awful moment. It really was. Because, like, this is a figure of authority, right? Like, I had known this guy for a couple of years at this point. He was a professor for most of the photo program at this college. And it was just, it crushed me. I felt so stupid. But I also made sure I let him know when I photographed my first like full press release for BMW, when I was like, hey, I made it. I got to do exactly what I set out to do, my favorite brand of car, and I'm photographing for them right now. So a turning point, but
that's your Notorious B.I.G. moment.
Exactly. It was a wild ride through the photo program, but again, always linked, the cars and the photos. Hopefully that's a long answer to that question, but
well, it was beautiful. Yeah, I've seen hundreds of your photos of cars. The article on Felony Forum and Ollie was like a turning point for me. Like I actually got like a lot of flack for going to the E36 chassis from an S chassis, but I saw that article and I was like, this is the future. Like, this is so cool. This is so different. I want to try it. And like, I didn't even know Ollie. I just ordered the fenders based on your article about it.
That's awesome.
And the car looks so good. I was like, oh my God, dude, I can do, I had the vision. I was like, okay, I can do like a, drift style, Japan influenced E36 with these fenders. I can make it work. So like, yeah, that was a big inspiration for me. And that like kind of changed the trajectory of my like drifting life. So yeah.
That car, still like one of the coolest cars. The car had so much style in its chaos and like imperfection. I can't put into words why that car is so cool, but man, is it cool. And the people that don't get it, they just don't get it, know. Ollie was on to something special with that. Rest in peace to him.
Yeah.
He was such a talented and amazing kid. I call him a kid. He's not a kid, but Like, yeah, he did some really cool stuff, and I still think those felony form fenders were what the E36 chassis needed to take that next step, kind of like you said, and like become more than it was. I think he actually had a real impact on E36 culture as a whole with that car.
1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah, I got to like know him a little bit. Super cool guy. He was just like happy to see them be put to use in the way that he intended them. And yeah, stance, fitment, whatever you want to call it. Like, what drew you in? Like, what were the inspirations? Because I mean, not everybody like sees that and says like that's the coolest thing you can do to a car. Pick the right wheels, and it sets it apart. Like, where did that desire come from?
People, I found the only thing that takes Grange dust off of my car. I happened to like get handed a spray bottle from my friend Sally, and it's 303 Auto Care Protect and Spray. The only thing that gets Grange dust off my car and keeps it off my interior, I know you've seen me blow off track and insert that clip of me flying off track with dust in my teeth. That stuff does not come out. All right, like I'm telling you, when you hit that dirt, your car will never be the same. And we've talked about it on the podcast before. I finally found the solution to solve it. 303 Protect and Spray. I blasted my dash with it. All the Grange dust came off. And the next time I flew off track at ABS, man, it was amazing. It didn't stick. I've been using it on my engine bay, so if I fly off track, the dust doesn't stay on there. It's really nice. They got it at all the auto parts stores. They got it on their website. And go get yourself a bottle and check it out. Trust me, I like literally hit them up to ask them if I could do this ad so that I could tell you guys about how it actually is the only thing that takes off Grange dust or ABS dust. Pro tip, go get yourself some 303 Protect and Spray and run it up.
I'm not exactly sure where it came from. Yeah, I mean, I think like a lot of it probably just stemmed from, I find a huge amount of desire in finding like the cool old parts, right? Or like the ones that have, I don't know if cultural significance would be the right word, but like if we're going to talk about vintage BMWs, for example, finding the old AC Schnitzers or the Hartgoes or what have you, like all of those specific parts that are hard to find and they're meaningful and they have history and style. Like that kind of stuff was always really fun as a kid and still is. And so I think like combining that, like I think there was a specific moment for me when, if you're familiar with a Borbet Type A, mm-hmm. Just fat 5-spoke wheel, really common back in the day on E30s. You could still buy 16-inch ones new. I think you still can even. And it was like a really cool Euro-styled wheel that, again, kind of said something about the car. It spoke very specifically to what you wanted your car to look like, very Euro influence. And I had come across a 6 Series. I can't remember exactly where it was or who had it, but it was in Tennessee. And this guy had these 17-inch Type A's on his car. It was like a parts car at that point, and I begged him to let me buy the wheels off of it. At the time, I had never seen a 17-inch set. And they were like super low offset. I want to say they were like 8.5 ET13, which for an E36, especially at the time, was really aggressive. Yeah. And so he sold them to me, and I put them on my car. They did not fit. I had to like figure out, I mean, this was before even realizing like how much stretch you could run and all that. So like, I think they had 225s on them at the time. And like, they were just like they did not fit at all.
The car will not roll.
No. But I still bolted them onto my car in the driveway and took photos of it and posted it to the forum. And nobody could believe. They didn't even know that these 17-inch wheels had existed, And now you can find them. You can find them you could probably hop on eBay right now and find 5 sets of them. But at the time, this was like almost unearthing an artifact, so to speak. It was like people were like, holy crap, I didn't know that was a thing. And they didn't fit, but they did fit. It was like, I'm going to make them fit. So then I went out and I got some, I think I put 205s on these things to get them to fit, or 215s maybe. And, it probably had the old Falcon, what was it? The 452s that stretched really well way back in the day. That was like the tire to run. And got them on the car, and they were aggressive, but it was like, okay, this is cool. This is a style to it. And it was like, at the time, the Volkswagen kids were the ones that were really pushing the boundaries of like what was okay for wheel and tire fitment and stuff. So it's like, okay, well, some Volkswagen influence here. Let's bring it to the BMW world and see what goes on. And so I think that was probably like that turning point where it's like, okay, I found this like really cool, weird set of wheels that no one's even seen before. They're not supposed to be on this car, but I put them on there and it's working. And so from there, it was just like, all right, let's start finding more wheels. And I think wheels have always been just exciting and interesting. There's this whole bucket list of wheels that, I've crossed off a lot of them, but there's still plenty that I've never owned. Like I've never had a set of TE37s. And to me, that's like, I know that they are so played, but I want a set. I'm going to put a set on something at some point. Just got to wait to figure out what it's going to be. And, there's still plenty of other wheels. Like the most recent one is, so the E34 540 outside has a set of Hartga splits on it.
So
and
good.
After, 20 years of doing this, it's the first set I've ever owned. It's always been kind of the grail BMW wheel for me, and was finally able to get, my first set of them. So still crossing stuff off that list. But I don't know. To me, wheels are like the most exciting part. I don't want to say that's a bold statement. The most exciting part of the car. There's lots of very exciting parts of a car, but from an aesthetic and creative point of view, I think they make the biggest difference. And I think cars have always been about the creative outlet for me. Like I thought for a while I wanted to build cars for a living. And so here in this shop, my buddy Riley and I started doing customer work, and we did it for 2 years until I realized like, this isn't a creative outlet. This is just work. This isn't fun. I don't want to do this. I want the creative control so that I'm doing some form of storytelling, even if that's in the most abstract sense of just deciding what wheels are going to go on my car. That's still in some base form storytelling, right?
Yeah.
And so making that decision or any of those decisions, I think is like where all of that began for me. Is like, I think you get to tell a story with any part that you put on your car. But the wheels are the ones that like, that's again, back to that first impression. It's like, that's the thing people are going to see first. And it's the most impactful part you're going to do, aside from maybe paint,
Yeah. Would you consider building cars in art form? Like, is it an equivalent to?
I think, yes. I do not consider myself to be an artist. Or I don't want to call myself an artist. I think that like, if I'm going to be very objective about it, like, yes, in some fashion, sure. You could call me an artist. That's not the label that I'm going to ascribe to myself. But I do think that there is absolutely and unquestionably art in cars, like through and through. And anybody that argued that, I'll fight you.
I agree. I don't know. And everybody's got a different style, brush stroke, whatever you want to call it, like different eye, different perspective, and different influences. Like some of my friends like only pull inspo from like a certain era of like traditional Japanese drifting, and like they do it really well. And some people pull inspiration from professional motorsports and like bring it in, and some people just want to build like the most OEM plus looking car. It's cool to see like people put things together though. I think that's like really, that's where like the art comes in. It's like, you're creating something in your head and turning it into reality and showing it to everybody. It's like, you're like unveiling a painting sometimes. That's how it feels.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, and I know that it'll be a point of contention for some, but like the aesthetics of a car are more important to me than the performance. Like, that's not to say I don't like performance. Clearly I do, but there's been this running joke and tagline for years around here of, again, what good is going fast if you don't look good doing it? Like, we could sit here and build the fastest car, not ever, but like we could build something monstrously fast at the cost of having it look like crap. but that's not appealing to me. I don't want to do that. That's not like I think the art form of cars and the beauty of cars, like that's what got me into them, is like they are beautiful machines and they are incredible to drive and I want to drive them, but life's too short to drive an ugly car. Like that's not an excuse. And so I'd rather make sacrifices in certain aspects because I want the car to look good too. Like the look of it and the feeling that I get when I look at it is impactful and meaningful to me. And so I will take that in trade in many ways, not entirely for performance, but it's a massive part of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm into motorsports, but I don't know who won like the DTM championship in 1989. But I can tell you what certain cars looked like. Like,
Yeah.
I know exactly what the E30s look like. I know exactly like what the 190Es look like. Like I could probably draw them. They're burned into my memory. The like John Player Special 6 Series, like burned into my memory. I don't know how they did in the championship, but
yeah, I mean, I think there's like, it's important to note that like, obviously we draw aesthetic inspiration from those cars, right? Like there is form that follows function. Like there
Absolutely.
can be beauty in something that is purely functional. And so it's not, but like, I think if you were to step back from it, you can't say that anything that's purely functional still has form to it. That's not the case, but sometimes it yields something that is beautiful, right? And so when it does, we embrace it, and when it doesn't, we don't. Like there's been plenty of race cars in history that were incredible for performance, but they look really goofy. Like the I think it's the Chaparral fan cars for F1. Like those things look silly. Or the old F1 cars that had 4 front wheels when they were trying that out. Like maybe that was the precipice of performance, but it looked goofy, and that's nobody embraced that and said, hey, let's make drift cars with 4 front wheels, right? Like so it just because it's the best at any given time. Or like we can even talk about the current I think I might butcher this. The McMurtry Spearling. Is that what it's called? You know what car I'm talking about?
No idea.
So it's like this new car. It's 100% electric. It's not that new anymore. It's a few years old. They just did a demonstration a few months back so it has fans in it and it creates its own downforce. And so they like drove it onto this platform and then they turned the platform upside down and it just with its own fans and downforce held itself to the platform inverted. And then they turned it back over and it drove away. And like this car is going out and breaking records with everything it touches. It's like the fastest thing on 4 wheels that's ever been put together. It's ridiculous. But it's also like really goofy looking. It's like really, really goofy looking. Will its form leave a mark in the scope of things? Like once everybody accepts like, hey, this is what performance looks like, will we say, okay, it's actually pretty cool when we look back on it? Or are we always going to say, hey, that thing's fast, but it looks really goofy? And only time will tell. But I think that car at the moment goes to show that like form does not always follow function. Like
I watched your video where you were kindly speaking on the new BMW M. And I can't remember exactly what you said. I'm going to butcher it, but you said something along the lines of the world's fastest nightclub.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's happening there. Like it does feel weird. And yeah, world's fastest nightclub on 23-inch wheels or something like, yeah. And I like that pained me because like I love E36. E30 M3 is like one of the best looking cars on the planet, like ever made, right? And then you like go all these years later and they're making like a minivan with like a jet engine and color changing roof. It's like, what's going on?
I think there's room for that car to exist. The XM, it's like this 780 horsepower SUV thing. There's room for that car to exist. Like there's an audience for that car. I think like what really chapped me about it was that BMW came out and they were like, this is the first true M car since the M1. Every other M car has been the M variant of an existing platform. And for them to come out and like take what's supposed to be this like, I mean, M used to stand for Motorsport, doesn't anymore, but for them to like take the lineage of the M1 and everything that has followed it and be like, okay, this is the first M car since then, the second M car, period. And it's this, I don't know, probably like 7,000 pound SUV that is literally a nightclub on wheels.
Yeah.
Like, it is the most ostentatious machine. It's ridiculous. Like, that felt like such a stomping on their heritage, their lineage, like what they had accomplished with the letter M, and just been like, what can we sell with this? You know, it's like, I don't know. It made me so mad as a fan of the brand. And the cars from the 80s that followed suit from the M1, you know, the sixes that raced in Group A, the E28s, the E30s, all that kind of stuff. It's like, I don't know. It just, I'm all frustrated thinking about it now. I don't know what they're doing in any regard. So I don't know. I'm speechless.
Yeah, I watched that and I like couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I was like, who there had the idea, let's make an M car, but let's sell it to, you know, rich soccer moms.
Who knows who's buying it? But
yeah,
it bums me out that, like, I mean, maybe somebody along the way did put their foot down, but they didn't have enough horsepower to like stop anything. But like, nobody came along and said, hey,
maybe this is a bad idea.
What are we doing? What the hell are we doing? Like, it's a crazy decision, but I don't know. It's one of many steps that has alienated me from that brand, where it's like BMW was my first favorite, my first love. I still tell people, like, I'm a BMW guy first and foremost. Like, that's what I'm into, and everything else is just tangent to that.
As we sit in front of two Ferraris.
But I'm still a BMW guy.
I
like,
respect
that's
it
through and through. And it sucks because, like, I love what this brand was. Like, I love what this brand was so much. And it means so much to me. And it represents such a big part of my automotive enthusiasm. I love this brand so much, and it means so much to me with respect to my automotive enthusiasm and like how I got into this stuff and like where all of my inspiration comes from. Like, it's such a heavy part of that I find myself immensely frustrated that same brand can just shit on their own past and heritage and like not celebrate it in the way that Porsche does. Now, your audience probably won't know, but like there's this dark Porsche cloud that follows me around. It's 911 shaped. I am known for not liking, quote unquote, not liking 911s. I have this massive bone to pick with air-cooled 911s, which is a discussion in and of itself. But I really respect the cars, and of all brands out there, I respect Porsche more than any other car brand because they respect themselves more than anybody else does. They are so true to their roots. Now, yeah, they sell SUVs. That saved the brand. Sure. They sell Taycan electric cars. Again, it's, I presume, saving the brand. But you look at what the 911 began as, you look at what the 911 is, and it is such a pure lineage that still celebrates itself, and they still go out and they make the best version of that car that they can. They still go out, they still race, and they care so much about where they came from. Like, I have so much respect for Porsche, which is really hard for me to admit. I don't want to say that. But, like, as a brand, I respect them more than anyone else. I think that they do what they do the best. They are the truest to automotive enthusiasm and the roots of like what got them to where they are and what people love about their cars, specifically in the 911. And so like for BMW to not do that at all when they could, I think is like, yes, that's setting an expectation for them that they didn't set themselves, and that's not fair, but it's still really frustrating. Like, I can admit to doing that to them, which isn't fair on my part, but I'm still going to hold them accountable for it because somebody has to.
Yeah, I drove a 991 GT3 and I'm like, this is the best car I've ever driven. And you're like, and it doesn't, it's nothing special. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like it. And I've driven old 911s, and it's like, oh yeah, this is just the progression.
Yeah.
You know?
Every step is just let's improve upon the previous one.
Yeah.
And like you look at a 911, the latest and greatest version of it, whatever it may be, and it doesn't feel like they've ever tried to cater to somebody that they weren't catering to before. Versus like you look at a new BMW M2, the current M2, you compare it to the previous M2, which like I know that the car is a good car, but who are they catering to?
It's Tire Streets time. What's Tire Streets? It's where you get your tires. It's where I get my tires. 351s on the back, 651s up front. Just having a freaking blast on track and blasting off track. Get yourself the best tires in the game at tirestreets.com/Goodest. Enter code Goodest on checkout to save yourself some money. And that code works for the entire site now. So if you need rally tires, you need tires for your minivan, you need tires for your grandma, like Tire Street's got you covered, dude. If you're like, hey, I want to try the 351s out, but I'm scared, I'm just shivering, you can get a full refund if you don't like them within 30 days. So give them a shot. And honestly, I think you'll really like them. They fit chunky. Run them a size down on the tread width. Otherwise, you can be hitting your fenders like I am. But with a wider tire, longer tire life, get those at the right tire pressure, man, they last like all day. So don't go above 30 PSI. That's the cheat codes. Try out the 351s and get your money back if you don't like them. Do you want to be the coolest person in your city? Are you trying to just absolutely stun on everyone you know? Well, the coolest way to do that is buy a car in Japan and get it sent home. And the only way to do that is through Tweed Auto Garage. Jordan Tweedy, he's the man. He's an incredible driver. He rips at Mahon. He's who I bought my S14 from. If you got money to spend and you want to have one of the coolest experiences of your life, definitely look into Tweed Auto Garage. He can do pretty much anything. If you want to drive it there before you come home, he can arrange it. He's easy to work with. His prices are fair. There's no surprises. If you're looking to have the coolest car you possibly can, or just have a really insane experience in Japan, check out Tweed Auto Garage, link in the description, and check them out on Instagram.
I think Porsche does heritage better than anybody else. And I know that heritage doesn't matter to your average car buyer. And I know that that's who BMW prefers to cater to. They're a business. They want to make money. But clearly Porsche is doing something right. And I know they're a much smaller brand, but why can't the M brand within BMW be that? That's what it was like this motorsport derived enthusiast focus. Like this is for the car guys, right? Like that's what I love about the original M5 so much is there were some engineers sitting there looking at the M1 and they said, well, we have this family sedan. What if we took this crazy 285 horsepower 6-cylinder and stuck it in this thing? Let's make the fastest sedan in the world. How cool would that be? And then let's make it handle worth a damn and sell it. Like
Sick
that
aero.
is as cool as it gets.
Yeah.
And the other early M cars too, where it's like the M3 was born as, hey, BMW wants to go racing. What do we need to do in order to do that? Well, you need a homologation car. Well, you better sell the car with the big fenders and the bigger wheels and tires and the 4-cylinder high revving motor. Sell that race car to the public. Okay, cool. That's exactly what we're going to do. And I feel like we don't get that kind of thing anymore. And I'm not saying they have to do the same thing, but like give me something that feels like that, because that's what the GT3 RS feels like.
Yeah.
And that's what the GT4 RS feels like. That's what all these cars that they're making feel like. It is, hey, here's this unbridled performance, this crazy version of this car. Here's the version of this car that we went and just set a Nürburgring record with, or, you know, those types of things. And even other brands feel like they're at least connecting with that sometimes. Like Ford making this GTD Mustang is, I admit, it's insane. It's a $330,000 Mustang, but it's only a Mustang in name and look, and only kind of in look. Like that is a Multimatic race car underneath. And it's sick. It's incredible. Why, in contrast to Ford, which most people think of as this very boring brand that makes pickup trucks, why is BMW, the ultimate driving machine, with a motorsport division, why are they giving us the second M car as this SUV? So like,
Yeah.
I could complain about it nonstop, and I kind of hate them for it because like I want to be the biggest BMW stan in the world, and they make it impossible to do.
Yeah, you like in that video I learned that you would shoot for BMW and like tour around with them and as they went racing, and like that must have been incredible.
It was an incredible opportunity. The kind of arc of getting to be into BMWs and then getting kind of like recognized by BMW and then invited to come photograph for them, up to, actually photographing races and press releases and whatnot for them, was like, especially when I thought I was going to be a photographer for my entire life, like that was to me, like I was achieving every bit of the dream I had set out for. Like there was nothing cooler to me than going out and photographing BMW race cars for BMW. Like that was as cool as it gets. And to have that relationship with them was incredible. And unfortunately, I kind of soured it by plenty that know me at this point for a long time know that I used to speak my mind much more freely on the internet. And the BMW Art Car program, which is this program where they would used to take their race cars and they would commission an artist to paint the car. So like the first one was done by Alexander Calder, and then famous names such as Roy Lichtenstein did one, Andy Warhol did one, so on and so forth. Like huge artists.
They all came out pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool cars. There's one of the most recent art cars. It was the 6 Series GTLM race car, done by an artist named Baldassari, very famous contemporary artist. And
my dad studied under him at CalArts.
There you go.
Yep.
And the race car, when he unveiled it, it was a body and white race car. It had a few colored like polka dots on it, which is very much in line with what he does. One side of the car said fast, and the other side of the car had a picture of the car itself on it. And I did not like it, which, to be clear, I don't have to like it. There's room for subjectivity in art. I'm not saying that no one should like it, but I didn't like it, and I voiced that opinion. And I did not do so in a polite way. I tore it down. I did what my professor did to me, but
he's an art professor. He should know what it's like to get his art critiqued, you know?
I posted up and I just said, like, this art car sucks. This is trash. Cool. Like, I could put fast on the side of my car, like, and some dots. Like, this isn't what an art car is supposed to be. And again, that's subjective. I have no right to decide what that is, but BMW didn't like that I did that. And I think that really tainted my relationship with them. Things tapered off very quickly after that, which sucks because I think that there is value in me being a huge BMW stan and not just loving everything that they do. Like, I think that gives credibility to the things that I do like. And being willing to criticize the hand that feeds, I think is like important in maintaining integrity as what I would have said as a journalist at the time. But
you're also you're their enthusiast demographic. You're saying what everyone else feels, and
yeah. So they didn't like that. That wound up, and maybe that isn't what like killed. I won't say killed the relationship, but like tamped it down a lot. But that was definitely a turning point in my relationship with BMW, because I remember getting a phone call that was like, "Hey, there are some folks that are at BMW that are very upset that you did that," and I was like, "Oops." I didn't delete it. I didn't believe in doing that, but
yeah, free speech.
Don't make a stupid looking race car and I won't have to criticize it.
They're probably just mad because they feel the same way.
Probably. I can't imagine what they had to spend on that.
Don't tell everyone else.
Yeah. Like, no, we need people to gas this up. Like, nah, man. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Where did the Ferrari thing start? Were you just like, what's the craziest thing I can do? Like,
okay. So the Ferrari thing began when I was in college. My stepfather, he is very much, or was very much a car enthusiast. He did, he had a career in the auto industry, to put it lightly. But I remember at one point he came to me and he said, I think I'm going to buy a Ferrari. And I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. And to be clear, like growing up, that was insane to hear. He had did not believe in buying new cars and he was going to buy a new Ferrari, but like, very much like we never had anything crazy car wise. That would have been nuts to have around the house. But he said, yeah, these 308s, these Magnum PI cars, they're about $20,000 now. I'm kind of getting to that retirement point in my life. Like they're supposed to be very maintainable, DIY friendly. Like I think that'd be kind of cool. And I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. You know, to be clear, he did not get one. His retirement car was a Chrysler Crossfire. So
Whoa.
almost as cool as a Ferrari, but not quite there.
That was like an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
But he planted that seed where it was like, okay, a $20,000 Ferrari. And I've always thought that the 308 is one of the best looking Ferraris at any price. Like, just my opinion. I think like you have the 308 and then you have like a 288 GTO and an F40. That would be like my top three. And those three are
sitting in front of 2 or 3.
yeah. And like they're linked. Like the F40 and the 288 are just evolutions of the 308. But he planted this seed and he didn't wind up buying one, but I wound up getting on, Auto Trader and what have you, and looking around, and I realized, okay, yeah, $20,000 can buy a Ferrari. And this is like probably 2010-ish, maybe, give or take. And so StanceWorks at this point has some momentum. I've got some momentum having done like the rusty BMW thing and like my E36 and a couple of other like still very basic cars, but I had some momentum behind me. And I thought, well, I should get a Ferrari and I'm going to bag it. I'm going to have the first airbagged and fitted Ferrari anybody's ever seen. Like never been done. This is going to be nuts. I was like, okay, so how do I get a $20,000 car? I have like $15. I'm in college. But my E36, I had recently finished S54 swapping it, and it was a very early S54 swap car, one of the first ones. And so the car was well known within the BMW community, and a guy reached out and he was like, hey, I'll give you, I think it was $25,000 for that car, which especially at that time, that was a mountain of money for an E36. Still is, but, and I was like, oh my God, I have the avenue to do this. I'm going to sell the E36. And I had found it was a white with a red interior, 308 down in Florida. It was like 22 grand. I was like, cool, I'll be able to buy it. I'll get it back home. And then I'm going to chop it up. I don't care about it. Like, let's go. But I couldn't find it in me to sell the E36. I couldn't do it. Even at that point, I had had it too long because I got it in 2006. So I didn't have it in me. I couldn't sell it. And so I did not get a Ferrari. And it would have been interesting to see what that would have done for the brand and StanceWorks and whatnot. It would have spread like wildfire. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it would have looked cool. There have been, since then, I think the guys I think it was Keen Suspension in Belgium were like the first ones to do that with one of those. It was a red one, and it looked incredible. And it was like sick. It's like, okay, yeah, that recipe, that was going to work. Should have done that. But I didn't. But that seed stayed planted in my head for a long time. And then my tastes grew, and it's like, I haven't put a car on air ride in I don't know how long, a long time. And, I've grown an interest in motorsports and that kind of stuff. But the idea of that, like, quote unquote, poor man's Ferrari was still there. But the price of those cars went up and up. And now, a nice sorted 308 coupe could set you back 100 grand, depending, anywhere from probably like 70 on the lowest to 100. And beyond that, depending on like what variant it is. And so very much like not an affordable car anymore. But when I got this one, which I bought it in December, it was December of 20. I kind of had like leapfrogged my way into being in a position to buy one. Like I've never had Ferrari money, but I had just kind of gotten lucky / timed things correctly. I had an OBS Ford that I bought for like I think I paid like 12 grand for this truck. And like I had like built it up and done a bunch of stuff, but OBS Ford values just took off. And I sold the truck, I think, for 40. So for a 300,000 mile 97 Ford pickup, that's a lot of money. It was insane. And so then I took that and I was like, I got to live this childhood dream of mine. I got to buy a Hummer H1. So I spent 42 on the cheapest Hummer H1 I could find. And drove that around for, I think, a year, and the value of those exploded. So I sold that thing for, I think, 60. And so kind of leapfrogged my way from this $12,000 truck to having $60,000 sitting here. And I looked around and I was like, I know what I have to do. I got to buy this 308. And so I called up my buddy Corey and I was like, dude, because he was there during the entire hunt for this white one that was in Florida all the way back in college. He was my roommate at the time. And I was like, dude, I think I might actually do this. I think I might buy a 308. I've got enough money. It'd be like every dollar that I've got, but I think I could buy one for this price. And I want to put a Honda motor in it. And he was a Honda kid and he like lost his mind. He was like, no way. Why do you want to do that? And I was like, well, I think it can make like a really cool race car. Like I think it could be really lightweight, efficient, powerful, reliable. And like it'd be cool.
Yeah.
And so he was all about it. He said, no way. And so at that point I was like, all right, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to buy a 308. And so I searched worldwide for one, looked high and low. The only requirement was it had to be the coupe. I didn't want the target top car. And I was willing to import a car. I was willing to buy one that had like a blown engine, a destroyed interior, like whatever. It couldn't have any rust and it had to be a hardtop. And this car was the second cheapest car I could find on planet Earth. The cheapest one, which was like 50 grand, it had been like in like a side accident, side swiped. It had rust. It was just super gross. It was a gross car. And then this one was 62. So big price difference. It was perfect. This car was showroom perfect when I bought it. I feel bad about what I've done to it, but also like always start with the best version of a car you can find. And so yeah, $62,000 later, I had a yellow 308 that was in like perfect running, driving. It was the nicest car I'd ever owned at that point by a good margin. And so that's how I wound up with this Ferrari. That's like where the Ferrari thing came from. And
what did it feel like driving it home, or did you get it shipped, or was it like the
I had
first drive?
It came from New York. So I had my buddy Keelan go out and look at it for me. I was like, hey, I need your help. And he was like, dude, I don't know what I'm looking at. I was like, just make sure it doesn't have rust. Like, I don't care if it drives. I don't care about the rest of it. Like, just no rust. Make sure it's like at least reasonably clean. And he gets there. He's like, dude, this thing is mint. This looks so good. I was like, all right, I'll send it home. So I shipped it out from New York. And then, yeah, like the first drive, I'll admit, very disappointing. If I had spent $62,000 on a car hoping for that experience, like I think 99.99% of people that buy that car pay that and are expecting what that car is to deliver on that purchase value, right? And in no way did it do that. Like it was very slow. Like I dynoed it. It made 163 horsepower at the wheels. And that's not because it was bad. Like factory rated, that car was 202 horsepower. So like you do 20% reduction. It's like it was within like 2 or 3 horsepower of where it should be. So like very slow car.
Happy motor, 160 wheel.
Yeah. Very heavy car. Like for a car that is like not a whole lot bigger than a Miata in stock form. Like it's smaller than an E30. It's 3,200 pounds in the 80s. Like that's a heavy, heavy car. So you combine that with 160 horsepower, like it didn't go anywhere. It had like tiny tires on it. I think, like 205s maybe. Like as a whole, very underwhelming driving experience. If I had spent $62,000 and was expecting to be happy with that, I would have been very disappointed. Now, in the car's defense, I bought like the worst version of the car. I bought an 81 308 GTB-I, which is like the fuel injected version. It has like Bosch CIS on it. So like it was an emissions car. It had, it was like the worst version of it, which is why it cost what it did versus more. But yeah, not a great driving car in my opinion.
I can't. Yeah, that's so funny to me because it's like we like idolize these like old Ferraris and knowing that they're just kind of underwhelming. I don't know. Makes sense.
I mean, people all the time so I knew from the get-go what I wanted to do with the car. Like the entire roadmap. I didn't know that I was going to turn it into a full-blown race car. I wanted to be like a street car that I could track. But I knew I was going to get rid of the original V8. I was going to put a Honda K series in it, turbocharge it, and then go do some like time attack. And I thought I'd be like a much lower class, like enthusiast class or something like that. But I knew what I wanted to do. And like, I mean, I even knew I wanted to do like these fenders and all that kind of stuff. I knew I was going to cut the car up. And I think a lot of people, when I said, hey, I'm going to yank this Ferrari V8 out and put a Honda 4-cylinder in it, they're like, you know, understandably, like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? What about the sound? And like, I think these cars sound good. They don't sound bad. I mean, it sounds like a vintage overhead cam V8, but like, it doesn't sound like what people think of when you say a Ferrari V8. It doesn't sound like a 355 or something. Like,
No.
it doesn't have that like flat plane wing sound. Like it's not, it doesn't sound like that. It just sounds like an old V8. And like, again, it doesn't sound bad, but it's not like a sound I would like write home about. And I think that also gets like lost in this romanticizing of these cars where it's like, it's a vintage Ferrari. It's got this vintage V8, like all this type of stuff. It's behind you. It's like, we really romanticize them. And it's like, the car is built pretty poorly. And like, you know, it's slow and it's heavy. And like, I don't know. For me, if you were going to spend $60,000 on a vintage driving experience, there are way better ways to spend that money for sure.
Why the Honda engine? Like, what did it just like pop into your head one day? Like, where does your inspiration come from?
So lots of friends. I at that point I had been doing a decent bit of track driving, and I had this E28 that was a 1982 European Touring Car Championship, like replica tribute car, so to speak. I've been tracking that car a lot, and a lot of my friends were doing time attack racing, and I was like, this seems really cool. I want to do that. That's like a form of motorsport that still has like a lot of emphasis on style. Like it's performance, but like the style, there's definitely style in time attack racing.
Definitely.
And it's also a way to go racing, but I don't have to go wheel to wheel. I don't have to worry about like just destroying my car going into a turn with somebody else. Like it's racing against the clock. It's racing against myself. It's racing against the car that I built. And that was like made it a personal challenge. And that was really appealing to me. It's like, okay, I want to go time attack racing. And my buddy Amir Benetou, he had an NSX time attack car with a K series in it that he swore by, and he was like developing this car. And I was like,
the pink one?
It's not pink. It's a Nissan Midnight Purple.
Oh, cool.
There is a pink one out there too.
Okay.
But he had this car and he was like crushing it to the track. He was setting records, like really well-developed car. And I was like, that's really cool. I'm into this. And for me, it was like, I want to take this car. I want to go racing. What happens if I blow up the factory V8 that's already really slow? Like, I don't want to, you know, and like, when I sold, for example, I sold that factory engine for just shy of $12,000. Like, it was a chunk of money, right? That's what it would cost even more now if I blew one up to get my hands on another one.
Yeah.
Because that was 5 years ago almost. So the idea was like, okay, if I can sell off this factory engine and then fund putting a high performance engine into this thing that is not only cheaper, but lighter and has way more aftermarket support. And like, people have already figured it out, so to speak. Like, all of the headaches that I could encounter, somebody's already dealt with it. These engines go racing every weekend. That seems like a solid formula. And the V8 in the 308 is transverse. So I needed a transverse engine for the car. Everybody says like, why wouldn't you pick an LS or a 2J or any of these other, you know, like common options?
They're heavy.
No, they're heavy. They're
Well,
also, they're just like, they don't fit. The engine has to go sideways. I mean, like, I sit, you know, a couple of inches off of the rear firewall, and then there's a couple of inches to the engine, and there's just not enough wheelbase in the car to have a longitudinal engine. It has been done, but with major sacrifices to the car. And a lot of guys turn them into like 288 replicas, and they will literally cut the car in half and extend it.
Whoa.
And I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
for me, it was like, okay, I want transverse engine options. There is an LS4, but there's no good LS transverse transmission options. You either have that automatic, which is like, I don't want that, or the F40, it's what it's called, F40 transmission from Pontiac. I think it's from like the G6 or something like that. Mates up to an LS. There's probably a company out there that makes some upgraded version of it, but like, is it going to have the bulletproof nature that I would like it to have for a racing application with a bunch of horsepower behind it? Probably not.
Plus the K series is just bulletproof, proven, high revving.
It's supposed to
responsive.
be. Right now, I'm finally on the right track. I've gone through a few engines, but my thought process, like, yeah, you're gonna have to work out kinks, and that's part of racing. But hey, like, this is a good engine platform, especially leaving it transverse. I know people blow them up going longitudinal, but
I know a couple people.
But being transverse, like picking transverse engine platforms, like the good ones that I could pick from, it felt like there's the K series. I thought heavily about a Volkswagen VR6.
Whoa.
Which I think would like, that would have been the best sounding option. Like that would sound so sick. Those are one of the coolest sounding engines ever built. But
all the VW guys would have.
Oh, they'd have loved it.
Yeah.
But my fear there, one, I think they're kind of heavy. I'm not totally sure. I don't know what transmission options I really have. I didn't do a ton of research. But the big one is like, I know people go racing with those, but in contrast, like one of the important aspects of it for me was to pick a platform that people go racing with regularly so that they have already done the R&D for me. I don't want to be trying to solve these like really weird issues because nobody else has done it yet.
You're already doing that with the chassis. You don't need to do that with the engine.
I don't need to do that with the engine. And like, that was like the fear of going with, you know, some random car. I always think back to, there was this Mazda ad a number of years ago that talked about how many Miatas were raced on any given weekend across the world. And I don't know what that number was. Somebody listening might. But I thought it was this like really cool number, and that has stuck with me, where it's like, that's why a Miata makes such a good track car. It's completely solved, you know? It's like when you talk about game theory, it's a solved game. There's nothing you're going to encounter that somebody hasn't already encountered. There's no problem that's new. The formula exists. And to me, the K series felt like the closest I'm going to get to that same mindset if I'm going to put a different engine into this car. People have done everything that they've made, all the power that you could possibly want to make. They've already done everything that you need to do to it. They take it racing. They've gone drag racing, road racing, you know, so on and so forth. Like, this makes sense as a platform as long as I have the right formula and the right recipe. And so I think I messed up on that portion of it from the get-go, but now I'm getting the kinks worked out. So
I think that's really good advice for anybody trying to get into like any kind of motorsport is, if you're not a elite level engineer or you want to get as much lap time as you can, like, you know, go with the formula, you know,
genuinely. I think a lot of people don't really acknowledge how much like actual money it takes to do that type of R&D yourself. Like, blowing motors up is expensive. And I can't say none of us, there are obviously like wealthy people in our hobby that can just do whatever they want and not have to worry about blowing stuff up. But like, most of us out there at the track, whether we're racing, drifting, whatever, like, we can't afford to just blow our stuff up over and over and over. And so, although I have had some failures so far, like, there's such an emphasis on my part of making sure that every step that I take is like, I want to make this car reliable. I want to be able to go out and crush lap after lap after lap. And I'm finding those weak links. Like, it sucks. Every time I go out, I'm finding some new weak link, but that is important, like, experience, so to speak, or like important stepping stones. And at least those weak links right now are just like the teething pains of having built a car from scratch versus blowing up engines because I don't know what it's going to take to keep a VR6 happy at, you know, high G cornering loads if it's not dry sump or something like that, right? Like, what if I had left it wet sump and then everybody says like, oh, they don't like to experience high speed left turns because it starves, you know what I mean? Like, there's that weird type of stuff. So that was a huge part of the motivation for going to the K series, that, and then just, my friend Amir saying like, hey, this is, you know,
proven.
This is proven. And also, like, I will help you in figuring out what kind of formula you need to make this car work.
Have you always like had the desire to go racing, or
no? And even still, like, I want to go racing. It's fun. If I had to choose between like driving my car and building my car, like I'll pick building it every day. If somebody, I equate it very often to playing with Lego. Like when I would get a Lego kit as a kid, I would build the kit, whatever it was, but I didn't play with the end result. Like it kind of went on a shelf or it got deconstructed and then I built another thing. It wasn't about, I didn't get the Legos to have the spaceship at the end. It was because I wanted to build the spaceship. It was about the assembly and about the process versus that end result. And so like if a genie popped out of a bottle and said, hey, you can have a 1 million square foot garage with every car you've ever thought of or ever could want, built exactly the way that you want it, down to the finest detail, and you'd never have to touch them, wrench on them, nothing. It's just exactly what you want. You can go out, rip, do anything. Or you can have a 1 million square foot shop and you can build anything you want, but you could never drive them. I would take the second in a heartbeat.
Whoa.
Like no hesitation. So like, it's not about the end result. Like the end result's cool. I'm really excited to be driving this car, but like it's much more about getting to fix these issues through, like the teething pains are kind of the point, right? Like the everything that comes with it. Developing this car is like more interesting to me than driving it. Driving's fun. I do enjoy it. I don't want that to be like misconstrued and that like I don't have an interest in it, but the real interest for me is getting there.
Yeah, and you're going out and testing your engineering skills.
That's what made Time Attack interesting to me is everybody comes out with, it's kind of like run what you brung. It has to fit within a class. I'm like, my car is not competitive in my class at all. Like it's never going to be a winner.
Yeah.
But that's not the point for me. Like I wanted to build a really cool car. Yeah, it's a Ferrari Time Attack car with a Honda motor in it. That's cool to me. And I think that it looks really neat. I enjoy what it is in its presence. And so now what can I make it go do? And it's like, I could easily find that this car is never going to be competitive because the chassis underneath this thing is from the 60s. Like it's ancient. And like, yeah, I made the suspension on the car. Like it's my own geometry and what have you. And like, I could find that I'm a terrible suspension engineer. I probably am. You know, I didn't go to school for it. I read like a couple paragraphs online and it's like, all right, I'm gonna fucking do it. Let's go. And it works fine. Like it's going out there, it's doing the things. Right now, like one, I haven't gotten really a chance to like, I keep running into teething pains. I haven't gotten to really stretch the car's legs and find out what it's actually capable of. And two, because of that, I'm still like learning how to drive this car. Like there's a lot of car. I think this car will be very fast once I get through the teething pains and get to go out and like, especially once I'm on a track that I'm really familiar with, I'm eager to go back out to Button Willow and drive this car again now that a lot of it is sorted and it is performing at a level it hasn't before. And because I'm so comfortable at that track, I think I'll go out and it'll be quick. It'll be respectfully quick. Will it ever be within its class a record setter or like a winner? No, it's not built to the limit of the class that it falls within. I didn't set out to do that. It wasn't like, oh, I want to go win track mod at Grid Life or I want to go win limited class at GTA. Like the cars in those classes are way crazier.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the point. So
yeah, you're battling yourself.
Exactly. It's a challenge to myself, to what I've built, to my talents, to my fab skills, to my motivation, like the follow through. Like there's a lot of challenge in just the follow through. Like when it breaks, like having that willpower to put it back together and go back out and do it again. So
that's very relatable to drifting.
Yeah, I imagine big time.
I mean, it's you're pretty much going out, and if you don't crash or blow something up, you had the best weekend of your life.
Yeah, I think you guys honestly probably are on the extreme end of that, and I've even said a few things online when like engaging in conversations about it that like one of the things that I've found really difficult to relate to when it comes to drifting is the celebration of missile cars. I understand it for, like in an abstract way, but I don't like it. It again comes back to like the aesthetic of a car is important to me. Like I don't find like there are missile cars that are cool. Like I don't want to call Ollie's E36 a missile car, but like that gets into that arena of like that rough and tumble style is cool. I love what most would consider to be rat rods, so to speak. I don't like rat rods, but that's a complicated topic. But like I love patina and I love like that rough and tumble look. Like there's room for that, but a lot of the like what I would, and maybe missile car is the wrong word, so forgive me if that's not
No,
correct.
missile is the right term.
But like seeing a lot of the cars that like it almost seemed like there was a celebration of just how fucking haggard and how much of a pile of shit can I have. And like if I step back, I can appreciate having something like that still goes out and just slays, but that isn't the point for me. If I built a drift car, like people said, why don't you build a drift car? Or would you ever get into drifting? Like I love S13s. S13 Coupe, I have like a real thing for, more so than most cars. They're high on my list. I've never had one. I don't know if I will have one because this would be like a weird way to phrase it. I don't know how to have one. And I don't think I fit that mold. Same thing with an FC RX-7. I really like FCs. Good. I love them. I don't think I'd do the drifting thing because if I built one of those cars, I'd want to make it as nice as I could. I want every car I make to be better than the last. And I'm not saying it'd be the best. There are much more talented people out there with S13s than me. There are going to be nicer ones. But it would still be something that I put a lot of my time and money into, and I'm not willing to go risk that slamming it into a wall. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. Like it would just ruin it for me. I don't like cars that have been crashed, for example. Like if I really crashed my E36, could it be rebuilt? And I've had it for almost 20 years. Like, yeah, would I want to? No, I'd be done with it. It would be like, it would be soiled for me.
Yeah, the soul's gone.
Yeah, like
mine's been crashed a few times.
It would be tough for me. And so like, now could I set out to build a car that was the intent of? I certainly could do that, but
I would love to see your interpretation. I would love to see, because I mean, you have like a very unique perspective on like putting together a car, and you're always kind of doing something new or different, or like pushing the limits, but also respecting the heritage. I'm like, I kind of want to see what would happen.
I won't say never. I mean, like, yeah, but it'd be so hard for me because if I wanted to try drifting, to be clear, I have done a drift event. I went to Tennessee's first drift event in my E36 before it was swapped, before anything. I think it was at the end of 2006.
You're fucking OG, dude.
2000, I think it was 2006.
You're drifting before half the people listening to this.
I have photos of it. I actually did 2 events, and for a brief moment even had a website with a forum well before StanceWorks. It was TennesseeDrift.com, and like we had a little forum, and like I was getting into it. I almost was like full on drift kid. Like I was into it. I even bought an RX-7. I had an FC RX-7 for a very brief moment. Like some deep lore here. I don't think I've ever told. I bet nobody knows this. There's probably like 3 people out there. And so yeah, like one of my best friends in high school.
You were drifting before me.
Once.
That's crazy.
He had an S13. One of my best friends in high school had an S13 that was SR20 swapped. So this is when we were in high school. And like when I think about, and so this had to be, he probably had that car swapped in 05 probably. So like It was early, like not crazy early, but like
that's pretty early for SR swap.
And then like what was crazier than that to me, so it was SR swapped, it was Sylvia front end swapped, it was a hatch, and then he had 18-inch SSR. I want to say is the Vienna Christ, the like almost solid but 6 cutouts, kind of like MAE crown jewels.
Yeah,
he had those on it. The fitment was super aggressive. Like they were crazy flush. He had super stretched tires on it, and this was before like the idea of stretching tires for aesthetics. He was like, dude, these are the wheels that I could afford. They don't really fit. And we found some shop down in Atlanta to mount the tires. And it was like, just to get them to fit. And I was like, this looks crazy, dude. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
But he was like, it wasn't like to make a statement. It wasn't about the stuff. It was just like to make it work. But I went back and I found, maybe a couple of years ago, I found photos of that car. And like, even today, people would look at that car and be like, dang, dude, that thing is like, that's doing it. It like was so ahead of its time.
My mind's blown right now.
Totally accidental too. So like, yeah, he got me to go out to this drift event with him, and I was out there drifting my E36 with like the stock M50. It was on like I just had it, I think like on 16-inch Orbit Type C wheels that I had spray painted black as like little drift spares.
Sick.
Like, yeah, and it was fun. So like I have tried it and I did enjoy it, and for a minute I was like, this is what I'm gonna be doing. Like this is what I'm into.
Whoa.
But I think like, yeah, the wear and the tear on the car from a like physical damage standpoint, because in order to like exceed at that sport, you have to be willing to write the car off. Like
Yeah.
you have to be willing to do that.
Yep.
And like, that's a thing that I'm not willing to do with this car. Like it rained at one of the Grid Life events and like I went out for a minute and then I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not willing to write my car off. It's not my pride in doing that in front of the audience, right? Like it adds a degree of difficulty because like everything that I do is now for an audience too. But
I mean, I wouldn't want to have to like learn how to drift with an audience. Like I'm very happy that I learned how to drift at like skid pad days, and I was like, there's no footage of it other than the GoPro clips that I have that will never see the light of day. And I couldn't imagine showing up to the track and even having it just be like a private thing and have people be like, oh, that's that guy, and watching, you know.
yeah, I mean, it would definitely be tough. Like, I don't know if drift events are still a thing these days where it's like just some kind of like a track day, but everybody comes out and you just drift.
We have them. How about this? You can come drive one of my cars. you can write off one of my cars.
You don't want that. But like, yeah, there's definitely the like the humility aspect of like, yeah, even if I went out to just a drift day at Horse Thief Mile or something.
Yeah.
Like, no
Horse
matter
Thief
what,
is a awful place to learn how to drift.
it shows what I know.
No, I mean like SoCal, that's the challenge, is like there's like 2 places to learn, and it's like 2 of the most treacherous tracks on like the entire Western.
Is it Apple Valley or Grange? What is it?
So
now?
it was originally called Grange, and then when Calvin bought it, they changed the name to Apple Valley Speedway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like that's the other one that I know of.
Yeah, and that's a gnarly place to learn how to drift.
I can drift it real well on Assetto Corsa.
That's sick. All right, I'm tossing you the keys. I got an E36 with your name on it.
Maybe someday.
Yeah.
But it'd be tough, like even just going out there on like the most casual of days. This isn't a competition or anything. Like there's still going to be like, oh yeah, that's that guy. Like, and people set in the same way that I did for BMW. So I'm a hypocrite, but like people set expectations for you that you didn't agree to meet. Like because of whether it's because I have an audience or because maybe because I can fabricate or because of the cars that I do have, they're immediately going to set this expectation of like, oh, well, he should be able to come out here and at least like kind of know what he's doing or like not embarrass the hell out of himself. And it's like, no, like, trust me, I'm going to be looking like an idiot out here. That's even the case when I'm out there tracking this thing. Like people assume it's like, oh, well, he shows up with this crazy Ferrari race car. Like he should be able to put it down. And it's like, dude, I'm out here learning. I'm just having fun. It just happens to be a crazy car.
Yeah.
You know,
so you're like, I designed the suspension myself. Like, we'll see if it's good.
Yeah. And it's probably not. So I don't know. I think like I would like to go out and try more drifting. Like I know it is fun to slide a car around. I think like we all know that. I think the hard part for me would be as somebody that finds the most enjoyment from building a car, it would be hard for me to want to build a car in the way that I would want to build it and then be willing to put it into a
sacrifice
wall.
it. Yeah.
Like even at a professional level, it's hard for me to like look at, so Dylan Hughes is right here across the street and he's become a really good buddy of mine. One of the nicest dudes. He's a crazy talented fabricator and he puts so much work into his car. And then it hurts me every time I go over there and see like when he's got to fix some crazy damage.
Pulling out
like, dude, like that would
stock
crush
tower
me.
or whatever.
That'd be so hard. Now I know that like part of it is embracing that. And then like you also pick cars where like you can get all the panels and you put them back together. But you know, I also wind up thinking about how a lot of these drift cars wind up looking after enough time that it's like, it's never going to look probably the way that you wish it did. Like it's never going to be as straight as you wish it was, or, you know, the body kit is going to be a little bit more repaired than you wished it was until you're ready to like kind of start that process over and go back to square one and spend a ton of money to do it. And like, I think I would have trouble being like, okay, I want to paint my car again. Like that'd be so hard to do. I couldn't do it. Like, no, painting a car one time sucks enough.
Yeah. Well, when you say it out loud, it sounds very silly, but like it's kind of just like the standard. It's like, oh yeah, you drive it for like 5 years and thrash it, and then you know you just get all new panels, and you know your friend paints it, and hope for the best, do graphics, and no one's the wiser.
I'm sure that there's like a level to it where it's like, yeah, you're not out there in like a show paint. I don't want to say nobody. Maybe people show up with, you know, $15,000, $20,000 paint job. I don't know, but.
Well, it's a candy paint, but we, you know, our friend does it.
Yeah. And so I'm figuring like there's probably levels to it where it's like, okay, yeah, you do paint it yourself, or you have a buddy that does, and like, okay, yeah, there's some runs in it. Doesn't matter because you're going to put it into a wall or whatever. Like, I'm sure. And I think finding that balance for me it'd be an interesting journey. Like, maybe I should do it so that I can find it and become like, find peace with the imperfect. Like I have preached on my channel, don't let perfection become the enemy of good enough.
So that's one thing that I've actually learned through drifting is I was very particular and I needed my car to be perfect, and like it needed to drive perfect and it needed to like look perfect. And you get to this point where you just go, fuck it. Like, I can replace a control arm. I'll put it on the frame rack, like whatever. Like now I am chasing like essentially the high of leveling up in something, and knowing that you have the ability to bring it back from the dead is like also kind of this like it's
Yeah.
cathartic. Like you go out there and you like hurt the car, and then you're like, I can do fiberglass. Like we can repaint a panel. I can get new graphics for it, and
I think kind of going back to what we were talking about before, like there's this weird crossover there though, that like, not to put words in your mouth, but the entire thing is a pursuit of the driving side of it. Right.
Right.
And for me, the primary pursuit would be the building of it. And so the driving would be like the added benefit, the icing on the cake. But the order of operations and like the whole thing kind of gets turned on its head when like the purpose of it in my frame of reference would be building it. And then I'm going out and doing something that's going to damage that, right? It's the wrong order of operations versus like, no, you're building something so that you can go out and drive it. And when you damage it, you have to come back and fix it so that you can drive it again. And while I wish that I could find some form of excitement and like, no, you get to build it and then you get to go do something that messes it up so you get to build it again. That part doesn't sound as fun. I want to build it. And then it would be really challenging for me because that's the part that I wanted to do, to then go out and like smash it up. Yeah. But, and that probably sounds more derogatory than I probably sound like I'm sitting here just saying that's all drifters do, smash their stuff up. And I know that's not,
yeah,
there's so much talent in the driving, but
I think you would enjoy Final Bout. I think you should come out to like one of the main one essentially and check it out for yourself, because there's a lot more people on your end of the spectrum. And they're putting together like a gorgeous car with parts from the 90s that nobody else has, and their goal is to build a beautiful car and put it on the track and have fun with it, but not like push the limits of the car, push the limits of the track. That there's kind of two different mindsets I think within drifting, and there's actually like kind of a lot of back and forth between those two like camps essentially. And like my teammates and I are like kind of in the middle of it, because it's like we want to push really hard and we don't really care if we have to like rebuild the car. But we also are like, hey, I want to make it look sick. Like, it looks way cool. You do a really cool entry. If the car's falling apart or it's sitting on chrome fitted up, like that picture is just going to be that much cooler.
Yeah, I mean. And to that end, so like at the last Grid Life event, which was in Michigan, the Gingerman Raceway event, they had drifting, and there was this, you might know who it is. I don't know who it is, but there was this guy out there in this white E36 sedan. Didn't have any sponsors on it. And that guy was definitely having the most fun out of everybody, because like his entries were crazy. He was just hanging it all out. The car was hammered. I mean, this thing was like thrashed, but it had style to it. It was still sick. And like, I watched him come through turn one, and he's tandem between, would you still call it tandem with three people? Or is there, okay. So still he's tandem between two other cars, and so he's in the middle, and they're coming through, and his front and rear bumpers both eject from the car in front and behind him at the exact same time. They just both go off, and he's still going. And it was the most like, I wish I had it on video. It was like so perfectly timed. Just both of them just jumped from the car. And he comes back around, he picks his bumpers up, throws them in the back, comes back around, puts them back on, and does it again. And it's like, it was so much fun to watch. And like this guy, like I was talking to somebody else there, and they're like, oh yeah, he's been drifting that car for a decade, or maybe it was more, I don't know. And like, he's tried everything and he's finally found this formula that like works for him and the car. And like, I don't know, it was really cool to like get to watch somebody that had like honed their craft and their car and was out there like clearly having the most fun, in contrast to like, there were guys out there in professional drift cars and like all that kind of stuff. Also having fun, to be clear. I know everybody's having fun, but I don't know. It was like really cool to see. And seeing that made me be like, well, maybe I kind of want to go out there and slide around. That looks fun. So
I'm gonna break you.
Okay. Please.
You're gonna come. I have an E36 328 coupe. You can't hurt it. I already did. Like, yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
That could be a challenge. I think that I could hurt it, but no, that'd be fun. I would love to go out and actually, try slide. I mean, like on the rare occasion, it's like there's an empty parking lot. Sometimes I'll go like, just whip something around, but that's the extent of it. I don't go out and do that. Not nearly as much as I did when I was a kid. I'd be driving around Middle Tennessee trying to find, industrial parking lots where the cops wouldn't show up, and go, slide around for a while and stealing Mazda Miata takeoffs from behind the Mazda dealership because they came with, I think it was 215
You're a fucking drifter,
17s.
dude. You're a drifter. This is every drifter's origin story, just so you know.
Somewhere in there, drifter lore.
Yeah. So you bought an F40.
Parts of an F40.
Like, are you like, okay, I did the Ferrari thing. Like, I need the crown jewel of all cars of all time, and I'm just gonna build something insane. Like,
no. So like, it's funny because the joke everybody says now is like, is big Ferrari guy, and there's truth to it. I'm stuck with it now. I am not a Ferrari guy. Like at this point, I kind of am, because I've like done enough learning and embracing of just like having to learn what I've learned at this point. Like, okay, maybe a little. I like Ferrari, but I don't consider myself like actually a Ferrari guy. It's more of like a thing that I lean into. The F40 wasn't like something I set out for. It wasn't like intentional so much as, so like I had this. I built the 308. And I knew that the next project, I wanted to go back and do another tube chassis car. That was like important to me. I wanted to do something from the ground up. I wanted to build something crazy. And I was going to build a Mercedes 190E kind of DTM tribute, but we're going to call it tube chassis on steroids. And I won't give away the rest of the plans because I'm still going to build that car at some point. But that was what I was kind of set on. And then one night I'm sitting in the sim rig after an Assetto Corsa drift session. And as I'm sure everybody is familiar with, you sit there and you're taking a break. And so you're just bopping around the internet. And not for the sake of trying to purchase one, I was just like, what does an F40 hood cost? And I think like I was probably on like voice chat with some buddies on Discord. And like the genesis of it was probably talking about like how a early Dodge Viper front like hood clamshell, if those cars are like half the time they're salvage title, because if that clamshell gets damaged and you have to replace it, it's like $30,000. It totals the car because it's the entire front of the car. And like I have a huge thing for early GTS coupes, so I love bucket list car. But it's like, well,
blue with white stripes for me.
Give me the red with the silver.
Okay,
but blue with white's a close second. The question was like, what does an F40 hood cost? And so I Googled it and couldn't, I think the first thing that popped up was a bring a trailer auction for one that like, I don't remember if it was like factory, or I think there was a factory one that had sold, and like a Haman one, because Haman BMW tuner had raced or had involvement with some F40 race cars.
What's up, friends? I'm here to tell you about Chase Bays. Chase Bays. They make the best fluid transfer products in the game, and I know something about fluid transfers. I'm running Chase Bays parts on the 1J. I'm running Chase Bays parts on my brake system, my hydro, all that stuff. Pretty much everything in my car that has anything to do with fluid has Chase Bays parts on it. And they've been good to me. So if you want to save yourself 5%, which nobody's offering, actually probably other people are, but don't use their code, use code GoodestCast for 5% off and save yourself some money on some good stuff. make your car better, drive more. Chase bays, the only way to transfer fluid. Are you single? Well, guess what? The only way you're ever going to meet somebody is if you have a sick engine bay, and CoraWorks got the engine bay dress up parts to save the day and pull you out of that incel subreddit that you're part of. CoraWorks, baby. Dude, these guys got anything and everything you need to build the coolest street car or the proiest of pro cars. Are you trying to take a carbon fiber trophy home? You can hit up CoraWorks. Are you trying to stunt? You can hit up CoraWorks. Coolest shop ever. Good people to support. The backstory is incredible. They got Origin Lab in stock. They got whatever you need to look sick. And if you want to save money on their engine bay dress-up parts, I got their 1J valve cover dress-up kit. Code GoodestBoy, GOODSTBOY at checkout. They got all those really sick anodized radiator mounts. They got hydros now. They got all kinds of stuff. So CoraWorks is where it's at. Go get their stuff. Tell them I sent you.
So Haman, BMW tuner, had some involvement with some F40 race cars, but I found a couple of hoods that had sold on Bring a Trailer, and they were like, and obviously used, but I want to say in like the $20,000 range, which is a ton for a hood, but also not a ton in contrast to what I was expecting, given that like this is kind of, in my eyes, the ultimate car. And we're talking about a car that in like, you know, fully finished form is like $3 to $4 million. So it's like, oh, wow, that's like surprisingly, quote unquote, affordable. And that was kind of the end of the thought. It was like less than I was expecting it to be. And then I think, you know, just sitting there and talking about it, it was like, I wonder if like you could find one for sale. Again, not to buy it. Like that wasn't a thought. Was not sitting here thinking about, I'm gonna buy 40 body panels. But like started looking around and I found this guy that had a website and he had most of the body panels for an F40 listed for sale. And I thought that they were authentic at first, but I reached out to him and I was like, hey, are these real panels? Because I think I added everything up and it was like, I don't know, probably like $60,000, which again, ton of money. But I was like, no way you could actually like get a F40 body for that price. Like that'd be nuts. And so I looked around, or I contacted him and he was like, no, these are not authentic panels. I have molds and I make replica parts. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. Thanks for the info. Cool. But he had the part numbers that those parts were for. And so then I copied one of the part numbers, I think for the hood again, and just posted that into Google and see what comes up. You know, I'm just cruising the internet. And lo and behold, I find an authentic, this F40 hood for sale. And the price was like, again, a lot, but also not crazy. I was like, holy crap. And then I realized they had what amounts to the front half of the car. So everything from the doors forward, they had. And then the rear clamshell and the rear bumper, if you will, I had to find somewhere else. But they had the whole front, including the roof. And so I added it all to my cart, and it was expensive. But it was this moment of, holy crap, I could, if I sell my E30, if I sell my E28 and I empty my savings account, I could buy these parts. And I mean, I had to like go to some sponsors and say, hey, I need some cash to do this. Like, yeah. So like, but I could pull enough money together to do this. And so I did that. I posted a YouTube episode and I was like, I'm selling the E28 that I just got. That's like my dream car that I said I'm going to keep forever. It's the nicest one I've ever seen. Like I don't want to say I regret selling that car, but like I will miss that car forever. It's the nicest one I've ever seen. And I sold an E30 that I had like just finished as like this ultimate daily driver. It was S52 swapped and like had everything redone. Posted them both up and I asked fair but strong prices for them. They both sold quickly. And yeah, I literally emptied my savings account and bought the front 3/4 of this car.
That's so crazy.
And I even have on my phone. So at the time I only had one employee, Anthony, my videographer, and I had a conversation with him. I was like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I believe in this. I think this could like be huge for the channel. I've never seen this before. I don't know when I'll have the chance to do this again. But I'm going to be gambling with our livelihood here. Like I'm going to spend every dollar that I have. And are you down to like weather this storm if it gets bad for a minute? He was like, yeah, I believe in you. And so I have a video on my phone of the night. So I had it because I bought it from the UK. And so I had to stay up till like 1 a.m. to like, make all that stuff happen. And I have a video on my phone of me sitting there at 2 a.m. after it's all done. And I figured I'd want this someday. And so I just kind of say, it's like 2 a.m. Here's the date. I think it was like February or March of last year, somewhere in there, probably March. And I said, I think it was like $256 to my name now. Like literally emptied it all, emptied the company account, my savings account. I was like, I have $250 something and rent's due in a couple of days. I'm supposed to have a check coming, that I'm owed from, one of our sponsors or what have you, or from YouTube or who knows what. So like, as long as it's not delayed, I'll make rent in time and like, we'll be good to go. And like, but I have $200 right now. This is the craziest thing I've done. I literally spent all of it, but I hope I can like look back on this video a few years from now and like post this to YouTube and show that like, this was what it took. And then here's what it yielded. And so at some point, like I'll post that video somewhere. But yeah, I saw the parts and was like, okay, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. This is all authentic Ferrari panels. It's the real deal. And my philosophy behind it was like I'd love a real F40, but if I was going to build an F40 and somebody handed me one or had an unlimited budget and said, don't worry about the value of this car, the only part of the car that I'd keep anyway would be the body, because I wanted to build this tube chassis car. That was the idea with this 190E. I was like, I want to build a car from nothing and make it crazy. And I was like, okay, well, what if I have a real F40 body and then I build a tube chassis that's a lot better than what was underneath it originally, and I build like kind of the craziest version of this car that's ever been done, because the most anybody ever modifies one is like paint color, wheels, and sometimes like upgraded turbos and stuff. But beyond that, like you can't modify them. They're too expensive. Yeah. And like even the ones that have been modified, like quote unquote considerably, still are they're just an F40. So what if you could take one? What if somebody had the means to take one and like actually make a customized one, like to the same degree that this is, but more so, So I was like, all right, got to do it. Got to do what you got to do. So I wound up with the front 2/3 or 3/4 of an F40, and then had to hunt down and find the rear clamshell and rear bumper, and now I'm here.
Thank fuck you're crazy. Because like we need shit like this, like, and I'm sure there's like a million people like cheering you on, because this is like everybody's fucking dream, is to like not only have that type of vehicle, but like have the ability and the like skill and the like execution to like take something from nothing and like put together an actual working badass vehicle. Like I saw that you posted that like Joe Rogan and like Tom Segura were talking about your F40 build, and like, dude, that is insane. Like the amount of people who heard that conversation.
That was a really cool moment, and like it's frustrating. I posted about it, and I've had like a number of people get upset that I'd like be excited about being on Joe Rogan. Like, say what you will about him, I don't care, but like that is the biggest podcast in the world. And like when I sat and thought about it, I realized that piece of media, him talking about the project, is probably the single biggest audience that you could get with a single piece of media anywhere. Even if you were on like, CNN primetime news, there are fewer people that are going to see that than that listen to a single episode of
talk
Joe
about
Rogan
a stadium.
Experience.
That's like 1,000 stadiums of people.
It is this, like, I don't know of any piece of media that is consumed regularly that has a larger viewer base than Joe Rogan. Like genuinely, I don't know that there is. Maybe, I guess, like a Mr. Beast video. That'd probably be bigger, but Mr. Beast isn't going to talk about my F40 project in a video. So
yeah, probably behind closed doors. That's all he can talk about.
But to have Joe Rogan mention it, and not like he brought it up. He mentioned it by name. He got the name wrong at first, but he even corrected it. And then he like starts talking about the videos and is like, says he watches every single one of them and mentions a few things that like make it really clear that like, no, he actually watches. This wasn't just like, oh, I saw this on YouTube. Oh, I saw this video. It's like, no, this dude actually is watching along. Was crazy. And then for him to mention, he even referenced my affinity for the E28 M5, which like I haven't talked about in many episodes on the channel. I really haven't. Like, if you know me well, you know that's my favorite car. And like there are a few episodes that it comes up and I'll talk about it, but it's very few of them. I would say for somebody that only knows me through YouTube and not through anything prior to that, that would be like a deep cut. And he referenced it. So it was like, oh my God, this guy is genuinely watching. He's seen all of it. He knows it. Like, and he's retaining it. You know, like nobody prompted this. It wasn't like a morsel that somebody's like, oh yeah, actually I'm familiar with this. Like, he's like, oh yeah, this guy also loves the early M5. And you know, like I was like, wow, this guy's really watching this content. This is crazy.
Is that like intimidating at all to know that like, because it's we were talking about it before we started the podcast. Like, what is like an audience, and how do you like fathom like impact? Like, you know that you're doing something that people who are talking to people who have like this like insane amount of influence are like excited about what you're doing. It's kind of incredible.
I don't know that I'd call it intimidating. I'd say like what is intimidating kind of to that end is knowing that as my audience grows, more and more like I'll call them professionals are observing me and what I'm doing and what I'm saying. And that creates a pressure to like be correct. And I can't be correct about everything. Like I'm going to slip up. I'm going to say dumb things. I'm not professionally trained in literally anything other than parts of photography. Like that's it.
It blows my mind that you are a photography student and you're what I'm looking at is just like an insane engineering project with like no formal training in any kind of engineering. Like it blows my mind.
I appreciate that. And I think it's important to like ram home to your audience and my audience and anybody else out there that like, I am not a professional and like, I am not classically trained. And like, there is so much room for me to get so much wrong. And I try my best to not to. I don't want to like, I really try to do the best job I can. That's important to me. But it's tough because every once in a while I'll get like an email from somebody that's like, holy crap, you listen to you watching my content? Like I don't want to like name drop or anything because that's probably not appropriate. But like, yeah, there's just been like every once, it's not often, but every once in a while I'll get an email or a comment or who knows what, where it's just like, oh my God. Like, you know, like I've had not any names that you would recognize, but like people that are figures in like Formula One teams will reach out and they'll be like, oh yeah, I saw you talking about like the aero package that you want to put, you know, on your F40. Have you considered this? And it's like, no. Also, what are you doing messaging me? This is insane.
Should
like,
you be building your car?
You got to be too busy to be watching me do dumb things on YouTube. But it's like that creates pressure sometimes because like it becomes harder and harder to maintain this. I'm going to call it maintaining a character. And that's a weird word to use because I don't want to say like I'm playing a character, but like maintaining a persona that is clear in that I am not a professional and like I don't know everything and I'm not an authority on anything. Like I try to make sure that is first and foremost. And like I try to make sure I show my mistakes. I think like we learn the most when we fail at things. But in doing that, I also open the door to a lot of people to kind of throw at me that it's like this concept that I have no idea what I'm doing. And that's not true either. You know, there's like,
clearly,
I know some things, like I've done a lot of this stuff before. And like, just because I omit something or maybe get something small wrong doesn't mean that I don't have some foundational understanding of like, at least an approach of what I'm doing, you know? And like, there's always this kind of struggle of like, if I don't mention everything or explain anything, I've got to deal with somebody pointing something out, even if, and sometimes that's like frustrating and a struggle where it's like for the suspension on this F40, I'm using all 458 Challenge Evo geometry. So I have all the running gear off of a 458 Challenge
So
Evo.
sick.
And I've 3D scanned the chassis of a 458 Challenge Evo. So I'm going to mirror all of the pickup points and everything. So like for me, I've done the design my own suspension thing. I've like proven it in some capacity. I don't feel a need to clear that barrier again. I've done it. I would rather copy Ferrari's homework and know that like my car is going to drive like a 10-year-old Ferrari race car. You know, like that's as recent as that geometry is 2016. So, and the current cars are just using a modified variant of it. It will drive like a modern Ferrari race car. Ferrari's,
who doesn't want that?
yeah, and Ferrari's done their homework. They've spent millions of dollars to make sure that those cars drive awesome. Now, I know that this car is not an analog to that car. Like there are changes that have to be made. The wheelbase is slightly different. The track width is slightly different. And I'm going to account for that and make some small changes here and there. But like, you know, I'll omit a tidbit of that, and then somebody will wind up attacking me as though I've completely ignored and failed to understand that there's this ramification if I don't account for like the change in the roll center of the car. And it's like I've thought about that, but like, hey, also like I can't explain all of it to the audience. Like people don't want that much. You know, some people don't want that much information thrown at them or what have you. Anyways, tangent, but
It'd be like build your own F40, you know?
there is the desire to be like, hey, dude, how's your F40 project going?
Yeah.
But I don't want to have that attitude either. I know that we're all out there trying to like accomplish goals that we set out for. And
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who are like seeing what you're doing and you're like doing the dreams of many and they're looking for the one thing that they might catch or
Sure,
do better or whatever. But it's like, yeah.
It's been really fun though, and like the community's really been really receptive to the car, and like I know that the project goal is huge, the time frame is huge, and it's like it's also just not for everybody. There's gonna be people that want entertainment value from these episodes versus like, hey, this is just a methodical chronicling of building an entire car from scratch that happens to be an F40.
Yeah, it's a video build thread.
Exactly, that's what it is. And so like my most recent episode was building the engine stand that's right behind us for the engine that's going in the car. And like, this was a decent sized project. I'm really happy with how it came out. It's like a full stainless, like pretty crazy engine run stand. So
Yeah,
that I
it's
can
beautiful.
run this engine. And like, this to me was sick. This is like part of the process. Like if I'm going to go overkill on the car, I want everything about the thing to be overkill, including the engine stand and run stand and what have you. But I'll get people being like, why are you wasting our time building an engine stand? Like, you should be working on the car. This isn't progress. And it's like, it is progress. It doesn't look like, it feels like a vacation from working on the car, but I promise that you're going to be happier that I have this engine run stand when it comes to building our own ITBs for this engine so that we can sit here and dial them in and make it run and like sort out kinks sooner than 2 years from now. I'll also trying to do it in the back of a car. Like, this is going to benefit both of us. It's going to benefit the content. It's going to benefit the outcome of the car. And it's going to benefit like everything in between. Just trust the process a little bit. I know that you feel like you're just watching me build an engine stand and not a car. It's part of it. Like it's all here, you know? And so kind of comes back to like, people don't want to necessarily trust the process sometimes or want to think like, dude, why are you messing around? And it's like, dude, I thought about it. I don't want to do all of the little things of like, fitting bits and pieces to this engine in the car. Like, let's get it all set up out here. Let's make it run and idle. Let's get to free rev it. Let's mess with header design outside of the car. Like all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So that the content can be better too. You know, like this is for you guys as much as it is for me.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be able to see your progress on
Yeah.
everything externally. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like YouTube comments are the forum responses, but nowadays those comments you can't trace back to their build thread. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And trust me, sometimes I try when somebody really mouths off, I click on their profile.
Yeah.
Because I'm human. I do it. I click on their profile and I'm like, what can I see about you? Let me see what you're building. And then it's inevitably there's nothing there. You can't
Yeah,
find
there's
anything. And it's like,
15.
yeah.
And you're like, why did I get mad? This is a child.
Yeah, it's like none of this matters. And
Yeah.
you know, I talk more than I probably should about YouTube comments with people. There's this really, I would call it an important video that I watched from a YouTube creator. He's quite big. His name's William. It's Osman, I think is his name. He does like kind of, I don't know what you'd kind of call the content. he makes stuff. He's a physical creator. He like made his own X-ray machine, for example.
Oh, sick.
And like he does all sorts of stuff. He's very funny. He's very comedy based. He did this video a while back talking about YouTube and negative comments, and he was kind of like he did this video. I'm done for a while. I don't want to do this anymore because some of you guys are taking the fun out of this. And it's crazy because this guy's got millions of subscribers and like it's his entire livelihood and whatnot, right? And he goes through and he talks about this process of like you can have a YouTube video with 1,000 comments on it, and 998 of them can be positive and supporting you, cheerleading you, and that's great. Like that is what matters, but it's still the one or two negative ones. They'll still get to you. It doesn't matter who you are. I genuinely don't believe anybody that says they are impervious to it. Maybe you don't read them, but if you do,
yeah, they bother me.
They will like. I don't believe anybody that says, "Oh, like, I don't care at all." Like I grew up in the forum age. Like I feel largely bulletproof to that type of thing, especially having built some cars that are like really controversial. The rusty BMW being like,
yeah,
that was in the forum, the heights of the forum days when everybody's willing to talk mad shit and just say the meanest, most vile things about you. I've had it all said to me and about me, and like, so I feel like I got to grow up. That's my Bane moment, right? I was molded by it, and so like it doesn't like bother me in that like normal sense, but I can't imagine trying to be who I am and do what I'm trying to do now if I didn't have that foundation of like getting used to it. Like I read something about people that give up on YouTube because of the comments, and like it would destroy me if I didn't have that foundation of like being able to like just weave through it. But it's still like the negative comments that get me now are the ones that I know are right. Those are the ones. It's like somebody that's might criticize something as like, I don't know, like somebody that says, "Oh, this episode was filler," and like, I don't think that I put anything out that's filler. I try really hard on all of my stuff, but sometimes I know an episode is to fill a gap between episodes that I really want to be making, where it's like, yeah, trust me, I want to be bending tubes and welding them into this car, but I have so much foundational work to do on the back end and on the computer to do before I get to do that the world just has to wait. And so sometimes I have to put something else out there, right? I have to feed the beast. And when somebody like then criticizes that, it's like, God, it gets me. It's just like, you're right. Also, fuck you, but you're right. You know, like you don't get it, but also you're right. And so back to William Osman's video, he like interviewed a number of other really big YouTube creators in his space, his arenas, not automotive, and all of them kind of had the same thing to say is like, yeah, it's the one negative comment you'll give credibility to or pay mind to versus the thousands of positive ones. And like, that's such an awful thing to think about, where you can have 1,000 people there telling you how amazing they think your content is and how happy they are that you're making it. Like just today, I'm laying in bed this morning reading comments of people that are saying like, man, this is my favorite content on YouTube. I'm so glad that you are showcasing building something as silly as an engine run stand to go with your crazy car, because that's how like over the top you want this whole thing to be. And like, you could have just bought something on Amazon and bolted the engine to it, but no, you had to go make this crazy stainless fucking thing. But those aren't the ones that you wind up paying attention to. It's the negative ones. And I think that's like, it's a bummer, but
I think in your case, you gotta, I don't know, you can just picture the stadium full of people and then all of them are clapping except two people.
Yeah.
You know?
And that is the truth. And like, you always have to ground yourself. And like, I don't let it like get to me, but sometimes it does. Like this episode in particular, like I got a lot of comments that were just like, dude, you're wasting our time. You're like, you're milking
Finish
this
the
build
Ferrari.
series. And like
that's not how it works.
It feels so frustrating to have somebody tell me I'm wasting their time. It's like, this is free. I didn't even ask you to watch it. like what? Just don't watch. Like just click on something else, dude. I didn't waste your time. You wasted your time. You set your own expectations for this. And it's like over and over again, I've in the build series said like, this is going to take years to do. This is going to be slow. And I've said over and over, like, I'm going to focus on the details. This is a detail oriented build series. Like this isn't about, you're not going to get big flash bang entertainment, big purchases, that kind of stuff every episode. Like we got the body out of the way. We got the engine out of the way. Like basically the last cool piece of the puzzle that we don't already have is the gearbox. Like the gearbox will show up and then we're going to get to look at it and be like, wow, this is neat. And then it doesn't do anything for another year and a half. And that's like, we're just going to be building a car. You're going to watch 10 episodes of me building tubes and welding them together to get the like greenhouse done. Like, you know,
How do you keep this like build in your head? Did you like design it before you even bought the panels? Cause you know,
no, I think like for basically every build, I just kind of like know what I want it to be when it's done. This would be the most planned out I've ever had a project. And honestly, most of the reason I'm planning it out as much as I am is for the audience. Like, and because like the audience will hold me accountable if I don't, right? I think like it's a two-way street and I'm really happy about it. Doing things on YouTube has created this crazy level of like self-accountability for everything that I do, because like now I know that people are going to see it. Am I going to be proud of what they see if I don't, you know, does that make sense? Like
yeah.
if like I cut less corners than I used to, that's for sure. Where it's like, I'd be totally fine having some just, you know, dumb solution to something like, fuck it, it works. Nobody's ever going to see that and it's going to work fine. But now,
You'll be like, this hardware doesn't need to be perfect.
right.
Yeah.
But now, and again, I don't want to take the stand that like my stuff's perfect or the best. It is not. And there are so many people that do so much of a better job than I do. But I still try on everything, where it's because like, I don't want it to come back to bite me. And like, I don't want to not be able to take pride in like every aspect of it, you know, like, and there are still aspects sometimes where I can't take pride. Like for example, under well, I guess we'll call it like the front hood of this car, I have not really finished. It's like very gross under there. Like the work is fine. It works great. The engine stays crazy cool. The ducting and whatnot, like works perfect. Cooling system dialed. But if you pop the hood of it, it's like, I didn't wind up going back in and painting it all. It's like very gross original black and it's greasy and it's gross. And like, it's like rough and tumble under there. And like, I never even painted any of the steel parts that I made. Like my pedal box, I designed it in CAD and used Send Cut Send for it. And like, it was a really cool piece to eliminate the original booster and all that kind of stuff. I never painted it. It's just rust. If you pop it, it's just rust. And it looks so stark in contrast to the back end of the car where people see it. And like, I kind of hide my crimes with that hood. You know, like I don't pop the hood in front of people not because it's not acceptable. Like I'm a human being and I only have so many hours in the day. And like, there's only so much I can do on this car and still meet these goals and still meet these goals and everything else.
The drift community accepts you.
Yeah. I appreciate that. That's what I needed. But on something like this, where I'm going to showcase every aspect of it, there's no room to have that.
Yeah.
You know, even for example, there's a leak in the roof somewhere over here and it has been getting the chassis table wet. And so now the chassis table is rusty. And so that combined with, we're really close to the ocean. We're like, I don't know, 1,000 feet from the water.
Yeah.
No matter what I do, exposed metal in here will rust. It rusts very quickly. And so the exposed metal for like the base frame that I've put in the car already is starting to rust. I will have to go in and document fixing that and cleaning the rust off my table and sorting that out, because like people will,
what happened?
Yeah. They're going to be like, how could you do this? And it's like, I want to be like, guys, it'll be fine. I'll sort it out, but I don't want to deal with that. So I'm going to like, in my upcoming episode, when I get back into the car, it's like, first and foremost, it's clean house.
Yeah.
You know? So it's the level of accountability that's present doing the build stuff on YouTube and documenting it to the extent that I am, which it's my own fault, but is crazy sometimes.
I think that's what makes it cool though. I think that's what's going to make it like, I don't know, I think taking time and like covering all those small details, like you're going to be really proud of that in 10 years, you know?
Yeah,
when you look back on it, you can be like, oh yeah, this day I did all this shit and it was a fucking nightmare. And it's just, when you look at the car, you're going to have like this video log book of like you killing yourself for 2-3 years. Yeah.
I mean, I know that like when the car is done, like in an ideal world, I won't ever have to sell it, but at some point I might, don't know. I mean, like I've already had people come out of the woodwork and want to buy it, like pre-purchase it and have it when it's done. And so like when it's done, somebody will want it. And that might be, you know, my California joke is like, that might be the only way I ever actually afford a home here.
Yeah,
but,
dude.
So like, who knows that, like, I expect this car, if I were to sell it, would be an avenue towards home ownership, or it would be my avenue towards acquiring a real M1. Like that's my bucket list car. That's like the ultimate for me.
Yeah.
It'd be like, I would say in the total car hierarchy of all cars, it would be like M1 Pro car, F40. And like maybe F40 LM or GTE goes side by side with M1 Pro car. And I know they're like very different levels of value.
LM would be,
but the M1 is more me. And so it's an M1 Pro car, like that's it, right? And so that was the other car that I really wanted to build before this. So like I was entertaining, before the 190, I was entertaining, I want to do an M1. And I found a company that they remanufacture the bodies, and you can get a full M1 Pro car body from them, but it's not authentic.
Yeah.
It's not. Now, apparently they have the molds from BMW. So like you could argue that it's as authentic as it could be. BMW doesn't make them anymore, but it's not real. It's a reproduction part. And for me, like the price of these parts, I talked to the company and it was like, I want to say it was like $80,000 for a complete body. That's without a chassis or anything. And that's just fiberglass. It's not even carbon.
Oh my
and
God.
like, that's really, really expensive for fiberglass parts.
Yeah.
And
yeah, your origin kit is
yeah.
be happy your origin kit is what it costs.
And so faced with that, where it's like, that's my dream car, but that's not authentic. That's a mountain of money. And then I realized, okay, that's the neighborhood of buying an authentic F40 body. Like, I'm going to pivot and I'm going to get an authentic F40 body. I'd rather have an authentic F40 body than a replica M1 body. And so for me, once this car is done, this, I would hope, if I decided to sell it at some point, would be the avenue that would acquire me a real M1 that I could then turn into a pro car.
Looking at these panels online, are you able to visualize like the complete project?
Oh, I know exactly what I want the car to look like,
Yeah.
or like within a few percent. So like I know what I want the car to be, and to explain it to the audience, trying to simplify it. So you have the F40 road car, and then you have the F40 LM. And so like if you were to take what I would call like the degree of separation between road car and LM, how much crazier the LM is to the road car, so I'm calling this like the F40 Evo for now. I want mine to be the same same degree of separation forward from LM to mine. So like you have basically that same level of evolution between chapters, right? So if road car is chapter 1, LM is chapter 2, mine is now chapter 3. And so that is there to like, if I'm making up my own lore and doing my world building, that explains the tube chassis. Like the original car is a tube chassis as well, but like, let's say they wanted to take it and go, like IMSA Group 5 racing with that car. Like, what could that have looked like? It wouldn't have looked like my car necessarily, but let's roll with it. And then like, that's the reason for the choice of engine. I still wanted it to be like, I want this car to be a Ferrari when it's done. And I know it won't be a Ferrari, but like, I want it to be a Ferrari for me. And so like, I've had people say, dude, you don't own an F40. And it's like, I know I don't own an F40. Like, but I own enough of an F40 that it's the only part of the F40 I give a shit about. Like in the same way that if I bought an M1, like I don't care about having anything real from an M1 other than the body. Like I can build a better car than an M1 on my own. And there are a lot of people that get really upset about that when I say like, I'm going to build a better car than the F40. They say like, who the fuck do you think you are thinking you're going to build a better car than an F40? And it's like,
you're like, it's better for me.
It's better for me, but it's also like, don't meet your heroes. You look underneath an F40, no disrespect Ferrari, it's not well built. It is an evolution of a 308 chassis, which is an evolution of a Dino chassis. It is like 60s technology. It is square tubing. It is old suspension geometry. Like I'm not saying that I can engineer a better car, but I can build a better car by the virtue of like, I would blow Ferrari's mind if I could show them 3D scanning and CAD. Like,
yeah,
they would be like, what is this black magic? And I can be like, I can fully articulate this. And
I'm a wizard.
I can look at books of all of the racing knowledge we have gathered since you built this car. Like, idiots online can go on and be like, yeah, here's all the suspension kinematics for this modern race car and how well it drives. Just copy it. You know, like I get to stand on the shoulders of giants, and a lot of people ignore that. Like, I'm not saying I am a mastermind. No, I'm just in an amazing position to get to like absorb everything learned from everyone that's willing to share it over the last 40 years since this car came out and improve upon it, including just copying Ferrari's modern suspension geometry and transposing it onto a tube chassis of my own, where it's like, okay, cool. Cars from that point, it's going to handle and drive better than the F40 ever did. And then it's going to look better because I'm going to make it look even crazier and like up the ante. And it's like, it's going to have a way cooler, better, way more powerful, wilder power plant by virtue of it's the newest and greatest Ferrari V12 when I bought it, right before the 12 Cylindri came out. So it's like, this is a 2024 Ferrari V12. Like it's the latest and greatest, you know? So, and the suspension's still all Ferrari and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to build a better Ferrari than what it was. That's not to like shit on it. The F40 is amazing. It's like, although I love the M1 more, like the F40 is the coolest car ever made. Like, it is the coolest one. So like, I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but there's room for improvement because it's 40 years old. So that's the goal.
Yeah,
but
take that. How does Ferrari feel about this? Have you gotten a cease and desist yet?
I have not. I thought I'd get a cease and desist over the 308, and I didn't. And I said a lot of really foul things about that car while building it. And but they're not going to care about that car. They're going to care about an F40. I better not tarnish the F40 name, right? I could get a cease and desist. It could easily happen. And who knows what that might look like. I purposely, in my episodes, other than the first episode, I have never called it a Ferrari. I call it an F40. It is an F40. It will be an F40 when it's done. It's going to be a Burroughs F40. It's not a Ferrari. Like, it was not built by Ferrari. I'm very careful not to call it a Ferrari. I did in the first episode for that punch, that bang, but ever since, I do not say the F word. I could probably still get in trouble for saying F40, but whatever.
That's just a letter and numbers.
But I'm also like really careful not to, like, this would be the most negative things I've said about that car, period. So if I get in trouble, I'm coming after you now.
Damn it.
You know, I'm very careful not to talk poorly about the car. I'll talk that there is room for improvement. Like I'm openly critical of what deserves criticism, but I'm not here to like trash it. This entire build, I think like what people fail to realize, it isn't some like ego stroke, like way to try to flex on Ferrari. It is in pure appreciation for what I think is one of the coolest cars ever made. Like, it is literally nothing but reverence for that car. And like, how can I take it and make my version of it and make it better in my own way? That's not to say that like it is truly better than the original. That's a subjective thing. But like, from a performance perspective and from a craftsmanship perspective, I think it will be better.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the world to see it. And like, in terms of what you're asking, like, what will the car look like? Again, I want it to be that same level crazier than an LM as the LM is to the road car. So I want it to be like, I want people to walk up to and be like, this is a fuck off race car. Like, this is fucking crazy. I want that to be the only way to describe it, is like, this is fucking insane. And hopefully we get there, you know, maybe not. I'd be hard pressed to imagine how that wouldn't be the reaction. And like, it is really important to me for it to still be an F40. Like, I want it to be an F40 when it's done. I want it if it's coming down the street and you get to see it, it's not like, oh, that's Mike's car or whatever, right? Like, you might know which one it is, but like, I want it to be like, whoa, that's an F40. And then like, as it gets closer, you're going to hear that it sounds different. And two, you're going to realize like, whoa, this is a crazy F40. And then once you get to like walk up to it when it stops and look inside, like, oh, this is not normal. But I don't want it to be like the takeaway of like, this is an amazing replica, or like, oh, this is like a homebrew thing. Like, I want it to feel as though like, holy shit, this is the craziest F40 I've ever seen. And that's the hope. And that becomes the rub on like, is it an F40? subjective. I would probably argue that it can't be without a VIN number, but that then becomes like this gray area of like technicality, right? Like I don't have the VIN number, but if you had given me a complete F40 and said, fuck the money, fuck the rules, build exactly what you want, all I would have kept is the body anyway. And that's like that ship of Theseus problem where it's like if you rebuild a ship piece by piece to the point where none of the original boards remain, is it still the same boat? And I think that is present with the F42. Like how much of an original car, if I started with a complete original car, how much of that original car do I actually have to retain for people to say that it is still the same car? I'm starting with a complete body. And like, to me, that is all that an IMSA Group 5, or let's imagine there had been a Group 6 car would have had. The rest of it would have been this, except for now I'm building it with modern parts. And so it's like, would you argue, like there's a handful of really interesting cars out there that you could argue, are they actually what they pretend to be? Back to our Viper discussion, some of those old Viper race cars, they're tube chassis underneath. Like they only have a body on them and no other part of that thing is like the original. Or like some of the old Lotus Group 5 cars or what have you, like they have a body on them and that's it. A Roush Protofab Mustang, like it has a body on it. It is a tube chassis race car with no Mustang parts otherwise. So a Roush Protofab Mustang is a tube chassis with a Mustang body on it, and even the body itself is only like a silhouette of the Fox body Mustang. There's nothing else Mustang about that car, but nobody would look at it and be like, well, that's not a Mustang. Actually, that's not a Mustang. It's actually a Roush Protofab. Like, no, it's a Mustang. Like, that's what it is. And my car is no less of an F40 than that car is a Mustang, through and through. In fact, my car is more of an F40 because I have an actual body and that Mustang does not. So, like, from a race car perspective and from the perspective of the things that I care about, it is as real as an F40 as it ever needs to be. And it's as real as what I would keep if I had a complete car. So, like, it's an F40 to me.
Are you going to take it to the track?
Absolutely.
Sick.
Absolutely.
That's
Like,
so fucking cool.
That's like, I don't want to say that's the point, but like, that's the point is like, I want to go out there and I want to use it. And like, I was talking to, my team at Falcon at lunch yesterday when we were talking about like, what do the next few years look like? And with the launch of Dunlop, I don't know if you guys saw that. So Dunlop has announced their return as a automotive tire here in the United States. And so that's under the same umbrella. So Sumitomo Rubber North America owns Falcon and Dunlop. And so we're going to be doing Dunlop, it sounds like, on this car. And that's like exciting too. That's like, oh, cool. We're going to like go race slicks and, have that real motorsport heritage stuff behind it. And
yeah.
So, talking about with them, what are the plans for this car? And it's like, yeah, I want to take this thing to something like Grid Life. And I know that like when the time comes for this car to fire up in the paddock and everybody hears it, and the same type of thing happens like when Turk fires up that V10 Supra. Like when that thing fires to life, everybody stops what they're doing and they come by and they're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then when it goes and it does its exhibition laps, it's not in a class, it's just out there to just everybody to witness how insane that car is. Everybody stops what they're doing. They're like, hold on, I gotta listen and watch this thing go around the track. And I think it will be a similar experience of like, it doesn't matter what class the car is in, how fast it actually is. I mean, I think it should be very fast and it should be a better car in every way than this one is. So like, hopefully it goes out and does something, but like, it doesn't matter. Like the whole point is that I'm building the coolest car that I can conceptualize. And I want it to be an experience, not only for me to get to drive it, but for anybody to get to see it go. And like, I think getting to take it out to a track and ring it out is so much cooler than getting to take it to a Cars and Coffee or like something like that. Like I want to be able to drive it on the street. It's going to make a terrible street car. I already know that. Like I have foregone any semblance of like street ability. It will be a fuck off tube chassis race car. But like, yeah, I want to be able to drive it on the street, but it'll be a race car and I'm going to take it out and go racing.
Are you going to do an H pattern or is it going to be? No,
the gearbox that Hollinger is building for us, I had like a lot of issues trying to figure out what gearbox I could put behind this motor because there's not options. And it needed to be obviously mid-engine, and the only things from Ferrari that fit behind this motor that are for their mid-engine platforms are you would have to get a gearbox either out of an Enzo, a LaFerrari, a Daytona SP3. There might be another one in there, but like we're talking about like $250,000 gearboxes, and I do not have that kind of capital.
Yeah.
So then it became, okay, so like what else could I put behind it? You know, are there like factory options from other cars? Like I looked at like, could I use an Audi R8 gearbox? Could I use, you know, like a Porsche transaxle, things like that. And like, there are different things that I could make work for sure. But a lot of them started to feel kind of scabbed in or band-aided as an option. Like I don't want to run an upside down Porsche gearbox in a car that I'm putting every ounce of effort into.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and having met the Hollinger team, you know, when I was in Australia for World Time Attack, Lee came up to me and he handed me a card and he just said, like, when you're ready for a real gearbox, give me a call. And so I kept his card.
I think you're ready.
And I put together a whole video pitch for him well before the internet knew about this thing. But I had gotten the parts and I had my formula laid out. I knew what I was going to build. And so like I put together this video pitch that outlined everything and sent it to him. And it was like made for him and Hollinger. And the pitch was like, Lee, you told me to give you a call when I want a real gearbox. Well, I'm building a car and I want the best gearbox that I can put in it. And I want it to be yours. And so I outlined the whole project to him and told him about the engine that I was going to run. And we talked about it. And so to answer the question, it will be a full air shifted sequential dog box.
Sick.
So kind of similar to what I'm running in this car at this point. And like the air shift setup in the 244 has been like the coolest thing in the world to get to drive. Like every bit as cool as it is on the racing sim, it's like, it's that, but in real life, and it's so much gnarlier and cooler and sicker. And like it transformed how much fun the car was to drive. Even from a stick shift sequential, going to the paddles was just unreal. And so that will make it tough to drive as a street car. Like it will be harsh and loud and like you have to go through every gear when you come down to a light, and like it's going to jerk and have that slop that sequentials have and like all that kind of stuff. Like it's not going to be a good street car, but that comes at the cost of building the most bitchin' car I can. And it's like, fuck it. No, like it doesn't matter.
Drivetrain noise, like gearbox whine is like
It's
one of the
cool.
coolest things
It's
ever.
cool.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fine. And like that combined with a screaming 9,000 RPM V12, like, yeah, it's going to be sick.
Yeah. I'm kind of jealous, man.
It's a slow burn. And I think like a lot of people fail to realize that. Like they're so used to automotive entertainment and having it be like this like immediate like change in front of them.
I bought a Crash 911.
Yeah.
I put a wide body on it.
2 episodes later and the car's done. And it's like, no, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
And it's also like, we're a 3-person show at this point in terms of the business. Blake is running merchandise and doing graphics. So like, he's not touching cars at all. Anthony's running a camera for me, but like I'm a 1-man show otherwise in terms of like I'm one dude engineering and building this entire car on top of also hosting a show, on top of also editing it. And like there's only so much time I can put into it, along with like all of the other things that I have to run a business too. And
dude, Hot Rod TV, they did like one 30-minute episode a week, you know, or like what's the dude from Trucks? Like I watched all that.
Yeah.
Like, I watched all that. And like I think YouTube has like kind of become that, and now you're doing that, but instead of having like a production team and like a crew and like you're just like a dude and a guy with a camera like knocking out pretty much the same thing and doing a way crazier project. So yeah, it's gonna take more time.
Yeah, it all takes time, and like there's so much to do, especially between juggling like this is a huge project, this is a full-time project. This is a full-time project, trying to keep this thing ready and racing for grid life. And it's like, it came back. I have 3 weeks between now and when it leaves. And in those 3 weeks, I'm going to pull the turbo. I have to pull the turbo off. I'm going to replace it with a new turbo because I broke it. I'm also going to swap out the turbo manifold. I'm going to fabricate a new exhaust, new wastegate dump pipe, new charge piping for the intercooler, new oil lines for the turbo, coolant lines for the turbo. I got to get it over to the dyno, retune it, make sure that it's all good. On top of that, I'm also going home to visit my mom for 5 days. And I also need to spit out content for this too. So it's like, there's so much to do and get done in the amount of time that's available to me, that sometimes like I'm spinning so many plates. And so like, I think that's like why sometimes I wind up taking some of those comments on YouTube so personally, when it's like, get more done. What are you doing? Why are you
You're
doing
like-
a 30-minute episode on building an engine stand? It's like, dude, I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard to like make something valuable and worth watching. And sometimes like I can't, so.
Yeah. Are you keeping like, I don't know. So you have all the CAD stuff like drawn out. Like, are you engineering like in your mind, like before you go to sleep every night, just to get like through each little piece? Cause like even for us drift people, like we'd be like, okay, I need to like, I'm going to redo this and my cooling's not really working. So I need to like change this up and maybe it's because of this or whatever. Like we're not like building a car from scratch. And
Yeah.
that still feels like a lot of like mental capacity. Like how do you balance that?
I mean, it can be a lot. Like right now, I'm stuck on like, I need to figure out exactly how I'm going to transpose the 458 Challenge Evo suspension pickup points onto a tube chassis. To do that, I have to have a tube chassis designed. I'm not there yet at all. I'm not even close. And so it's like, how can I, in some stopgap fashion, create some form of jigging that'll hold all the suspension where I need it to be in 3D space. So like, make some sort of laser cut fixture that'll hold all of the suspension pickup points where I want them, and then allow me to come in and start laying tubes in by hand. I want to do the tube work by hand versus like, I don't want to design it all in CAD and then just have it like cut by, Rob at Cage Kits or something. I'm sure that he would do that.
Yeah.
And I know that his work is incredible. But I want to build a car. I don't want to just click and have it printed, so to speak, right? Like at some point, this gets to that point where I just designed the whole thing in a computer, had CNC machines make everything from the tube structure to the suspension geometry to all the laser cut parts that make up every bracket and tab. And before I know it, I designed everything, but I didn't make anything. And I want to make a car. So, and I also just like, I want to do it my way. And I know that won't make it the perfect car. Like it won't be perfect, but that's okay. I don't need it to be perfect. I'd rather it be hand built than like CNC perfect, so to speak. But I'm not to the point of laying those tubes yet, but I need to get some of that stuff done. And so it's like, that's like, for example, that's one of the big things I'm thinking about right now is like, I need to get suspension located on this car, on this chassis table in 3D space. And I need tubes that then are going to connect to those, because those points are defined already, right? Like those points are defined by Ferrari, where they said, hey, those are with some changing to make it work correctly for this, but like those points are predefined in 3D space in order to function. So I need to transpose those into my 3D space and then create a chassis that then picks them up versus the other way around. And so, yeah, that's a hurdle I'm trying to clear in my head right now. And I should spend more time thinking about it than I am, but I have enough other things going on.
Yeah, you're also like running a business. You're trying to work out partnerships. You're trying to fund the thing. Like,
yeah, I mean, and it's like
keep people entertained. Like,
yeah, I mean, even on like the financial side, like I get comments all the time of like, how does he afford to do this? And like, oh, does he come from money? It's like, no, like I'm making this happen. And like, to be clear, yes, this is very expensive. And I'm very fortunate that this whole operation is capable of building what I've built so far, but it's on a razor thin edge. Like I said, like when I bought the body panels, it was every dollar that I had. And then second time around to get the rear half of the car and then to buy this engine and all that kind of stuff, to buy all the 458 suspension. It's like I'm spending every dollar I got. It's all going into this with enough money left over to like make sure that I can deliver on my contracts over here to like have this car out and competing and stuff. But like, there's definitely many times over months where it's like, okay, I can't afford to do anything else this month. I got to wait for income to come in before the next round of parts can get ordered, or, before I can make progress on this or that, and like, this is, I mean, it's a successful business, and then like, it's doing exactly what I'm setting out to do. I'm building an F40. That's amazing. It's not like real F40 money. Like that was never an option to go buy a real car. Right.
that's way less fun anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like there's absolutely a requirement to make sure that I can afford to do this. That comes back to feeding the beast and putting YouTube content out. And then I get people saying, well, why aren't you accomplishing more in these episodes or whatever? And it's like, dude, I've got to pump out episodes or this whole thing grinds to a halt. You know, it's like almost a robbing Peter to pay Paul scenario where it's like, I have to put an episode out, whether I'm not necessarily, I won't put something out that I'm not proud of, but like, I've got to put an episode out so that there's income happening, so that the sponsors are like, hey, cool, we're getting our stuff. We'll continue paying you. So that there's YouTube ad revenue still coming in. So that we're still selling merch. Because if I don't put out content until I'm just stoked with what I've accomplished here, it won't work. I can't do that. I don't have another business, you know, versus some of the big projects online. You know, like are you familiar with Bad Obsession Motorsports and the Mini that they've built?
No.
Anybody out there listening, if you haven't seen it, it's called Project Binky. It's like the weirdest name, and like I don't have a thing for old minis, but they took this old Mini and have transplanted like a Celica GT4 all-wheel drive turbo driveline into this thing, which on paper doesn't sound like something that would interest me. I'd be like, yeah, cool swap, whatever. But the build series is amazing. Like if you're into builds, it is like the best build series on YouTube. It's these two Brits and they're funny, very dry humor, and like they've redone everything on this car. It's all perfect. Like if you watch that content, you'll very much see like a source of inspiration for me and what I do. But these guys, they're like 8 or 9 years into this YouTube series and the car still isn't done, but they have other jobs and they have other things that they're doing, right? This isn't their full time. And if they didn't continue to pump the stuff out, it would have to grind to a halt. And same thing here. Like at some point I'd have to be like, okay, I got to get another job or find another way to fund this if I don't continue to feed the beast. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword of I have to put content out in some fashion to make sure that the whole thing works. So
how do you stay motivated in the times where you're feeling like I don't really want to work on cars, I want to like hang out with my friends? And you know,
that's one of my favorite questions because people ask me all the time, like, how do you stay motivated to see a project all the way through? And it's like, it is the hardest part of any build. It's harder than actually working on it or like the fabrication, like that stuff anybody can do. I think everybody that's into cars and like into building knows the feeling of having a project car that winds up sitting and like you don't finish it or whatever, right? That is part of it. Having the motivation or the fortitude to know you're going to see it all the way through is as much an important part of the planning process and like that kickoff point or taking on a build as having the money to do it or the skills or anything else. Like the motivation is such an important part of it. And anybody that says like, how do you stay motivated? How do you get back out there and do it? You know, like when it starts collecting dust or you don't want to, like, trust me, there are days I do not want to pick up a tool and work on a car. I am human. That happens to me. But you have, like, the answer that I give those people, and it's harsh, it's my tough love answer, is you don't want it bad enough. You can't make any other excuses. Like, yeah, maybe at some points, like, you can't afford it, but that's a different scenario, right? Like, we've all also been in a place where it's like, I can't afford that part for my car right now. It's got to sit. We've all been there. But if that's not what's holding you back or some other obligation isn't holding you back and you're inside sitting and watching TV instead or playing a video game or like spending time with your friends instead, like we all need that. But like if that's what you choose to do instead of getting out in the garage and picking up the tools and working on the car that you don't want to fucking work on right now, you don't want it bad enough. It's like there's not another excuse. There's no other way around it. Like if you want it bad enough, you will get out there and you will do it. And there are times where I have to come out here, I have to pick up the tools, and I'm upset about it, and I don't want to do it, but the car isn't going to finish itself. No one else is going to finish it for me. And I find that in those moments, as frustrated as I can be about it, when I pick the tools up and I start wrenching, it could take 15 minutes, it could take an hour, it could take a day. But by the end of it, once I start like accomplishing the small things, once I start seeing progress again, once I start getting the dust cleared out, once that dust settles, that's when the motivation comes back. And then it's like, okay, I like this. This is what I'm here to do. I'm having fun. And then the motivation returns and then you're out there and you're back into it. And so like, I think that you have to want it. You have to want to finish the car. If you're going to finish the car, you're not going to get to the finish line if you don't want to finish the race. You know, there's that famous saying of how do you eat an elephant? And it's one bite at a time. Like, yeah, cool. The other missing ingredient is you have to be hungry. You can't eat an elephant if you're not hungry. And I think being hungry is something a lot of people ignore about that saying. You know, like you can't eat a meal You can, but you can't eat an elephant if you ain't hungry. And I'm hungry. The analogy that I use a lot of the times is that I equate it to climbing mountains. I'm not a mountain climber. I've never climbed a mountain in my life. That's not of interest to me. But there are people that climb mountains to see the view from the top, right? Or maybe they climb the mountain to check it off a list because they want to climb the big peaks. Maybe they climb a mountain to brag about it, to post about it, right? Who knows? There are a lot of motivations for climbing mountains. It could be because they want to plant their flag at the top. You know, they want to conquer it. That could be. But then there are people that climb mountains because they want to climb a mountain. Like it's not about the top. It's about climbing the mountain. It's about the challenge that the climbing the mountain presents. And then they finish climbing that mountain and it's on to the next one. It wasn't about the top. It wasn't about the view. They didn't care. It was about the climb. And that's how I see building cars. Kind of comes back to like the Lego analogy too. It's like, I don't care about the view from the top. Having an F40 will be really cool. That's not why I'm building it. I'm not building it to have the finished car. I'm building it because I want to build the car. I want to build this crazy car. It comes back to like, it's not about being able to, CNC bend a chassis. I bet I could find a company that would do the whole thing for me. I could find a company right now that would be like, hey, we will step in and engineer a perfect motorsports chassis that is like incredible for that car. I had somebody reach out wanting to do a carbon tub for it. And it's like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm not building that. I don't want to do that. Like, yeah, it would make a better car, but that's not the point. I want to climb a mountain. I want to build a crazy F40, not I want to like piece one together or have somebody else build it for me. It's not about having it. I want to climb a mountain. And so I think to answer that, it's like, you have to want to climb a mountain. You have to be hungry. If you don't want to finish your car bad enough, you're not going to finish it. Got to want it bad enough.
Fuck, that was motivational. I want to go finish my car right now. How do you deal with stress and deadlines? Like, I know you've done like a list of SEMA builds and like
every time I tell myself no more. I have many times now said I'm not doing that again, and then I do it again, and then I say the same thing. Importantly, and this is from a place of privilege, to be very clear, I tell anybody I work with that there's no deadline. Like, I tell them I will not have it done by a certain date. Not everything. Like, certain things have to get done by certain dates. But like, for example, this project, anybody that comes on board with it, it's done when it's done. You can look at my resume and know that I will finish it. I deliver on that, but there will be times where I don't touch it at all. Like the Audi that's sitting over here at the moment, it's a Audi Quattro. I haven't touched it in probably a year. I have sponsored parts on it, sponsors that are probably like in their head thinking like, I wonder when we're going to see like what our contribution to that. I will get to it. I'm not going to let it sit forever. It's not like a forgotten project, but I've got other things I got to work on right now. This project, anybody that is involved, it's like, hey, look, there is no deadline. I'm not promising it'll be done by SEMA this year or at this event. Like, you can be a part of it and know that it will be at my pace. And thankfully, in my shoes, like the longer that it takes, the more content there is, the more eyeballs on their product there is, right? Or whatever, right? Or their brand. So it's in their best interest, and sometimes I have to explain that to them. They don't want to buy it, but it's like, once I say, hey, it's okay if this takes longer, that means like 10 more episodes, and therefore a million more eyeballs looking at it with your parts there getting talked about or whatever. But yeah, I think learning how to like manage getting done for a deadline is important. Like, I think that's a very valuable skill. And like I think, and I don't want to sound egotistical about it. That's not the point. Like, it's not a pissing contest, but like, I've pushed myself harder than I think most people would to finish things. Like, to finish this car for SEMA, I think at the end it was 4 days straight with no sleep, like just literally no sleep to get it done. It's like, I told them I was going to have it done, and I insisted that the car was going to drive, like, for my goal, not to them. They didn't care. CSF didn't care. It was like, I'm going to drive that car into SEMA. I'm not going to be the guy that shows up and pushes his car into SEMA this year. Like, I'm going to drive my Honda swap Ferrari into SEMA because it is a real car. I'm really doing this. It's not going to be that SEMA trope. And like, I literally fired the car up and moved it under its own power for the first time. It was like the night before it had to be at SEMA. And like, it was like 3 a.m. and like, there was basically enough time to like pull the car out. It had to be in Las Vegas at like 7:30 the next morning, right? It's a 4-hour drive, backed it out, put it in the trailer, got in and left and got it straight there, you know? And it's like, but that work to get it done, and it sucked. Like, it feels terrible to do that. It's very hard to like push yourself that hard, but, and it takes a week to recover, you know? But I think it's like valuable to like push yourself that hard at least once. Like, I think everybody should do it. I've done that particular push twice. The other one with the rusty BMW, getting it done for SEMA in 2015. That one, maybe the Ferrari was 3 days straight. The BMW was 4 days straight. And I genuinely, like, I learned my lesson. Like, you can't do that. Like, I would have been more effective if I had slept for a few hours somewhere in there. But it was like everything I had. And to be clear, like, friends were with me on both of these occasions, also seeing my vision and my goal and wanting to accomplish it with me. And like, I couldn't have done it without their help. Like, to be abundantly clear, this was not a solo project on either of these. I wanted to get done for SEMA. I called my friends and they showed up and they were like, we're here and we're helping. Let us know what you need to do. So like, I don't want to take credit for that solo. Just kind of talking through it through my own lens and experience, like, and what I did to my body and mind in order to do it. Like, it's very difficult to like not only stay awake for 4 days straight, but to like work and try to be efficient and to like push yourself to reach a deadline.
Yeah.
Because you want it. But again, like, if you want it bad enough, you'll do it, right? So
yeah, not make a catastrophic error with complete like delirium.
yeah, and so like, I've told myself, like, with every passing year, and I'm sure you feel this too, and everybody does that's listening. Like, every passing year, pulling an all-nighter gets harder and harder.
Yeah,
it's like an all-nighter at 36 is a lot harder than an all-nighter at 26. And so like, I don't know, like, obviously I got plenty of all-nighters left in me. I don't know how many like double all-nighters I have left in me, even at this young age. It's like those are really hard when you're like really working, like you're really like, you know, nonstop working through a checklist to get something done. But I'll do them if I want it, you know, like that part, there's not a hesitation there. So I think working for deadlines is something that like, I think everybody should try to do, just to like find their own limit, like really push to get something done. Like, you can condense a month of work into a few days if you want it bad enough. But yeah, at this point I have learned from that, and I don't establish deadlines unless it's specifically like an event, you know, like going to World Time Attack, for example. That was a deadline where it was like, it's an opportunity that I wasn't going to miss.
That's like the coolest thing ever.
Or, you know, like something else, like even for, you know, I don't know what it could be, but there will be opportunities that come up where it's like, I'm not going to miss that, and I'm going to agree to that deadline. I will take that deadline, and then you got to push for it. You got to make sure you meet it. Figuring out the pacing of that too, though, is really important. I've also figured out very well, like, I will, like, if I agree to a deadline, like Australia in 23, I understood what it was going to take to get that done, to basically take the car from what was like a street car and convert it into a race car that's ready to race on the other side of the world. And I front loaded, like, I started working really hard right away and started kicking my own ass because I knew that if I didn't, I'd have to do those all-nighters at the end, and I didn't want to.
You're like, no more double all-nighters.
Yeah. So all-nighters suck.
Yeah. I've done a few of those just for like some drift event too. You're like, why am I doing this to myself?
I did it as recently as September last year for Grid Life Laguna Seca, because I knew that was coming up, and it was my first official event with Falcon Tire. And it was before like becoming part of their team, but it was the first time they had really invited me out to do an event with them. And I knew I had to show up. I wasn't going to drop that ball. That was a deadline I agreed to. I was like, I'm going to show up and have my car at Laguna Seca for Grid Life. And everything went wrong. Everything went wrong. And like, I thought I was so ahead of schedule. It was a week to go, and I had the car basically done and up and running, and it was time to head over to the dyno and get it dynoed. We put it on the dyno, and like first startup to put any temperature in the motor, just idling. And the car had been running for like 45 seconds, the longest it had ran at that point. And a rocker broke and it sent needle bearings through the entire engine. And that's with a week to go before grid life. And so I got the car back home and I was like, okay, I have like a week to solve this. And part of that week includes like sourcing a new engine. I got to pull my engine out.
Yeah, and yours, we're not talking like a junkyard K series at this point.
Right. I mean, this was like a fully built, what was supposed to be a 1200 horsepower K series. So to pull the engine out, it's like everything in the back of that car has to come out. It is not a fun job. And so like tear the entire car apart, had to tear the entire engine apart. I had to like disassemble my dry sump pump and everything and pan, which is like multiple pieces. It's all like billet, and get all the bearings out and all the material. Cause like I got to put all this stuff on a new engine. Right. And then like, I don't know how to rebuild, and not that it's hard, but like, I don't know how to rebuild a dry sump pump. I wouldn't normally do that. I'd be like, this is an important component. My ego's not big enough. I'm going to send this to Daily Engineering and have them rebuild it and know that it's good to go. It's like, not time for that right now. I'm about to learn how to rebuild a dry sump pump. So like disassembling all the stages of it, keeping all of the pieces, like all of those rotors and everything, and all the little things that have to be in order when it all goes back together, like keeping them organized and like knowing that it's going to go back together. I recorded the whole thing on video so that I could watch it backwards and make sure it went together.
That's so smart. Take that down, drifters.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
And so I pulled multiple all-nighters, not in a row, because thankfully there was like one night where I was stuck waiting on the new engine to arrive. But like tearing everything apart, I had to like redo all of the oil lines in the car because
they're all full of material.
And like I had to redo everything. But I knew I wanted to get there. And then the engine got delayed and then delayed again. And finally it lands at LAX at, I think it was like, I finally got the engine Friday morning at 7 a.m. So I'm already missing day one of grid life.
Yeah, it starts on Friday.
Yeah. And also it's like a 7-ish hour drive from here to get there. So I get this engine from LAX at 7 a.m. I get it here back to the shop. It's an hour and change drive, especially on Friday morning.
Dude, I would have quit. Try. Like, for those who don't know, like driving from here to where the motor is on a Friday morning is like pretty much.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. I get the motor back here. I got to get it out of the crate. And then like I have to get it prepped to put all of my parts on. Cause like it's not the same engine. It's like super similar, but it's not like it wasn't built to go into my car. So I had to like start changing all sorts of parts and pieces on it, pulling them off. I had to install my whole dry sump system and like, all that kind of stuff, change everything over, get every, like just things that take time, like fitting every sensor to the engine and like installing, the VTEC solenoid and like just all that stuff, get it ready. I got to like, put the flywheel on it, the clutch, like everything, pair up to the transmission, get it dropped back into the car. I got to put all the wiring back in the car, all the plumbing, just everything. And it took a ton of time to do. And all of this is like, we hadn't even tuned the car yet. So I don't have a tune on the car for a 2-liter engine. I've gone from 2.4 to 2 liter. So I couldn't even be like, we can run it safely on the old tune. And I get the car, like was hammered down and I get the car together. I think like we fired it up at around 5 or 6 PM. And I'm like calling Andrew, my tuner, like, hey, can you get me over there for a tune? Can we do this? And he was like, if you can get it over here, I will tune it for you tonight. I was like, okay, I'm going to like get as much done as I can. And there was like a few issues because this engine, unlike the previous one, had VTEC and it had VTC and it did not have the same like cam setup in it. Wasn't all locked out. We had to like wire in a ton of that stuff, get it all set up, tell the computer like, hey, this is all present. Just things that nickeled and dimed that time. And I think it was like 11 o'clock PM by the time I got the car like back on the ground. And I'm talking to Andrew and it's like, hey, can we get this done? And I realized like, hey, if I rush this right now, I'm going to blow up another engine. And that's like not what I wanted to do. This being engine number 3 at that point. And so, at some point it was really tough. I had to call it because like technically there could have been enough time to do it, maybe. But I also had to realize if the car is going to be there, the event started, I think like it's supposed to be there at 7 a.m. is like when everybody's getting going.
Yeah. So you're going to tune it and then
It's 11 o'clock.
No sleep.
And it's
Yeah.
a 7-hour drive.
Yeah.
And like, I still have to pack. Like I haven't done anything. I don't have anything ready. Like I don't even have anything else in the trailer ready to go if I'm going to go to a track day
Yeah.
7 hours away, and I'm realizing like between that and then also like just getting all the other ducks in a row. If we went over to the dyno, which is probably 45 minutes away, and then the time it takes to get the car bolted to the hubs, because it's a hub dyno, tuning it, and like that's if we don't hit a single issue, is going to take at least an hour. Like, and that's no issues at all. It's like I will be late. I will be late showing up on Saturday. Right now the car idles and it runs and it can move under its own power. I just can't like do anything with it. And so I had to like make the decision of like, it's not the smartest to rush this tuning process. I want to know that I'm like taking my time, and I don't want to be late, and I want to show up. I want to deliver. I want to be there for Falcon. That was like really important to me to like make sure that I'm somebody that delivered on a promise. And so, yeah, I loaded the car into the trailer and we just departed, and we made it there literally like 40 minutes before the day started. And like, yeah, the car sat there and like, I was kind of embarrassed to like not run it. But yeah, that was several all-nighters, and like that was a goal that I really wanted. It was important to me to like make sure, like I'm sure that Falcon would have been fine if I was like, hey guys, here's all the problems that I had, and like none of it is like my fault. I got screwed on this and from this engine builder, and like they dropped the ball getting me a replacement. I literally got an engine this morning. I can't, like, I'm not going to make it, and they probably would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. But when you want something bad enough, I was like, no, I'm going to show up. I'm going to, again, kind of like Seema, I'm going to at least have my car moving under its own power. And I can say to anybody that asks, like, yeah, it runs, drives, like we killed ourselves to be here. We didn't get to tune it, so I can't go beat on it, but we're here, And so that was worth, again, like the all-nighters that it took.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard being a man of your word, huh?
I try to be.
Yeah.
I think that's important. Like
Yeah.
we don't get a whole lot more than that, and I'm not perfect, to be clear, but if I say I'm going to do something, I really try to do it.
Yeah. That sounds like a nightmare. Oh my God, I would have gave up. I've been I guess I haven't been as hungry as I need to be lately. But now I'm feeling motivated, so
Good. That's the idea.
yeah.
Like I hate to like say really cliche things, but like the idea that like we can do anything we set our minds to, you get told that a whole bunch. I do think that there's truth in it. It's not something that I would like try to preach to people, but I was talking with somebody recently, and I was proud enough to say that like anything that I have set my mind to so far in life, I've been able to accomplish. Not like literally everything, but like anything that is that is an attainable goal that I've set forth. Like you're not going to achieve something that isn't achievable.
Like buying a house in California.
But like if you manage your own expectations, like you're responsible for your expectations. Yeah, like if you want it, you're responsible for it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And again, to be clear, that doesn't mean I haven't had amazing help along the way. Like to have one final bit of motivational speak here. One of the most important motivational speeches I've ever seen is Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about, do not call me a self-made man. He says, you can call me anything you want, but I'm not a self-made man, because people call him that. And he says, I wouldn't be where I am today without the help of so many people around me. And that is true of where I'm at. Like I am not by any remote measure a self-made man. Like I would not be here without the support of my parents, without the support of mentors and sponsors that can be one and the same. Like people that have believed in me and like what I want to accomplish and the goals that I set out for. Like when I, pitch them on an idea, and then I like, you have to deliver on it, but like that builds that, momentum in life. I would not be here without the support of friends, like countless friends that have either believed in me, supported me, cheerleaded for me, been a sounding board, been in here wrenching with me on those all-nighters. Like there's a whole spectrum of it. Like I think it's important to say, like, anything that you set your mind to, you can do, but like, I also don't know that like you can do it alone, and it's okay to like ask for help. It's okay to lean on other people. It's okay. I think it's always a good thing to turn to people that know more than you do and know when to trust them. Like, I never want my own ego or my pride to get in the way of doing something the right way. And so it's like, when I don't know how to do something, I'll ask for help every time. Like, and I'm not ashamed of it. Like, people will say all the time, why don't you build your own K series? It's like, 'cause I don't know how. Like, and I don't really want to. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to be the guy who says, yeah, I built my own motor. Like, no, I built the rest of the car. I'm fine with it. Like, it's not a point of ego. It's like, no, there are people that are better at than that than me, and I don't need to learn that craft. I don't need to learn tolerances of building an engine that doesn't appeal to me. So turning to those that know more than you do, or when you have a question, to ask a professional, or to ask those more knowledgeable, or to ask somebody to come and help you figure something out, like, is critical. And that's something that has gotten me to where I am. And I guess all of that to say, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger has this speech. Anybody should go look it up. He talks about, don't call me a self-made man. And I think that that's like such a powerful thing, that somebody like him, who, whether you like him or not, like, he is somebody who has done so many things, from being like just a kid in Austria or whatever, to becoming the one of the most famous people in the world, from a bodybuilding perspective to an actor perspective to a political perspective. The dude's done everything. Like, the dude has done it all, and has, like, accomplished a lot. And for him to step back and say, but I didn't accomplish it myself.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
And so, like, I haven't accomplished anything here. Anything that I have done in any capacity, I wouldn't ever want to try to suggest that I accomplished it myself. So trust those around you and lean on them and build a community, and it will take you far.
Damn. I'm going to go buy a H1 Hummer.
Dude, that's the next step.
Yeah.
Be like Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
With a stogie and a...
I carried around a stogie in the glove box of it, just so that I could roll the window down at friends and then make like guttural Arnold Schwarzenegger noises and say, like, get to the chopper and stuff. It was great.
Oh, that's amazing.
And in the 6-disc changer, I kept 6 CDs that were like of the time. So like I had, or like
period
correct
CDs is such a flex.
Tupac had a black H1 Hummer, so like I had a Tupac album in there, and then like I had, what else was in there? I'd have to go back and think, but that type of thing where it was like, what can I put in this 6-disc player that is like perfectly 1999 H1 Hummer?
What's your like go-to music genre for when you're like trying to just crush a project?
The ultimate go-to Spotify playlist: Shaka Khan, Ain't Nobody Radio.
Oh shit. Okay. Sick. Love to hear it.
They don't expect that one.
No, I didn't at all. I love it though.
I love like 70s and 80s music, especially anything remotely derived from like disco. That would be like favorite genre, not the only. I'm all over the place. Like,
honestly, so sick.
I will listen to basically anything and enjoy it. I mean, like, I grew up like a hardcore kid and an old metalhead, so like all that kind of stuff. Dude, I love butt rock. Like, I'll crank some Alice in Chains, of course. Like, how can you not,
hell yeah,
weld
brother.
Some, screaming, here comes the rooster. But then on top of that, like old school hip hop, anything there. I'll listen to like some electronic music too. Friends lately have gotten me into Chase and Status.
Sick, yeah, that's a good time.
And so like kind of
some high energy, get shit done.
It's
music.
Been fun. Like, dude, that Boiler Room set is sick. So I'll listen to literally anything. Whether it's like, like I enjoy country. I like all of it. Like, there's not a lot that I'm like, I don't want to listen to that. So
cool. Is there anything that you feel is underrated in the automotive community?
Well, that's so broad. Can you elaborate?
Is there an unappreciated style? Is there something that is easily missed, that's underappreciated?
That's tough. The answer to that is yes. I don't know what it is. That's tough. Okay, so the first thing to come to mind, and I don't know that it really like is an answer to your question, but and I'm sure more drift guys are familiar with his work than anybody else. But Dom Spec, are you familiar? Okay, so like the most talented fabricator, period. Oh my god. So his Instagram at the moment, I don't know if it's supposed to be public, so maybe check with him and cut it out. But 73 Super Camper, it's this like low profile Instagram account where he is posting all of his work, and he's like so detail oriented. Like every detail of everything this guy touches is the best of the best. And like I'll never come close to that. I don't have the patience. I will say like that's one thing. I'm a very impatient person. Like when it comes to car stuff, like I hate the slow monotonous stuff. Like if I have to like file something down and make it perfect, like nah, I'm not doing that. I don't like sanding. I hate drilling holes. I hate cutting metal. But he spends the time and his details are incredible. And I think his work serves as a reminder for even someone like, I think a lot of people would watch my stuff and say I'm a perfectionist. Like a lot of people comment things like that or say like I'm OCD, and it's like, no. You have no idea. Like not even close. I'm not even happy with most of my work. I think that it passes muster. Like I would say most of it is not something that I'm truly proud of. I want my work to look like Dom's, or I want my work to look like Riley Stairs. There's a handful of other fabricators that I follow on social media that their work is what I wish mine looked like. And I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the skill or the talent either, to be clear. It's not just patience. But all of that to say that like, I think patience if you want your work to be the best that it can. I think that's like probably where I lack the most is I'm very impatient. And so while I know that's not like a style, I think that it can be a part of any style. And so like, if you're patient and you combine that with what is like generational talent like Dom, you wind up with cars that look like his, or work that looks like his rather. And that's something I wish I had. So I don't know if that answers. It's really not an answer, but I'm going to go with it.
No, that's great. I agree. I'm very, very impatient, and if you look at my car up close, you'll see.
Yeah, like
just tell.
I can be like very impulsive on things too. Like when I decide I'm going to buy a car or something, like it's like boom, I have to. Or like if I decide on a project, like I begin moving mountains, and it has to happen ASAP. There's no waiting period. Like things have to happen right away.
If you don't, is it just gone?
It can be. It can be for sure. So a lot of the times, like once I feel a sense of motivation, I feel like struck by inspiration, which is like a feeling that I chase, to be clear. And it doesn't happen all that often. But like I recently had it. It's a tangent. We'll go on it here in a moment. But like when I feel that sense of inspiration, then it's like, okay, I have to go after that. And then it's like it's compulsive, right? It's like, okay, no, I got to do this. And then it's like, last time I felt it a few weeks ago, I was like, I got to do this. And so I like listed my E34 for sale on my Instagram story to see if somebody would buy it that day and cash me out so I could do this. And nobody did. Dust has settled a little bit, calm down. Doesn't mean that I'm not like, okay, I kind of need to do this, but we'll see. But yeah, like I can definitely be compulsive in that way.
Sick. Well, on behalf of the drift community, I know not everybody who drifts is a fan of StanceWorks, or a lot of the people who are into certain types of drifting maybe have never heard of it, but there are a lot of people who have, and we're very excited to have a place to talk about, like a lot of the people in drifting really do appreciate that like attention to detail with like builds and wheel fitment. I think a lot of drift people went on StanceWorks and were part of the forum and lurked or either posted or whatever, and it was like kind of a community hub because it's the same thing. Drifters kind of didn't really belong on the BMW forums or the
No, I mean
there was Zilvia, but it was kind of like its own thing. So bringing that to light and having it be popular and showing people the way and kind of having like a commonality between the two, like created some really cool cars, I think, in the US and all over the world. So
no, it's always been a joy to have like the drift community be a part of what we're doing and vice versa. And I mean, like anything with wheels, like gets me excited. Like literally any and all of it. Like I'm just into cars, like too much so. And so yeah, to get to dive back into that stuff would be fun too. Like I'd love to come out and join you guys at some point and go slide around and tear up some tires and hopefully not tear a car up too bad. But yeah, and I appreciate, you sharing what I'm doing with your audience. And I'm hopeful that somewhere in this ramble session, people have, found something of value or maybe a source of inspiration or a kick in the pants or maybe even just a good laugh down memory lane. But it's been a blast. So,
dude, I appreciate you. This podcast has been motivational, humorous, and informational. So
perfect. That's what we want. Yeah. Thank you for having me. And yeah, let's go out to the track and slide some cars around.
Dude, I'm telling you.
All right.
No, like you can't hurt it worse than I can.
All right. Well, then we'll do that, and you guys can look out for like a StanceWorks episode on it. I'll bring Anthony out, and we'll make some content on it.
Sick. I would love to do that. You don't even have to film it. You can just come out and drift like no cameras. Maybe we'll do the second one.
There we go. Yeah. After we get the real embarrassing stuff out of the way, then we'll come out and we'll make ourselves look good.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see this thing done.
I appreciate it. Just be patient.
Yeah. Patience. Patience is the takeaway. Also, film stuff when you take it apart. That's genius.
Yeah, film stuff so you can watch it backwards. That's a power tool in and of itself right there.
I wish I knew that one my entire life.
Thank you for listening to the whole episode. If you like the guest, be sure to give him a follow on social media. The link's in the description. Send him a message. Tell him you appreciated the episode. They put a lot into these. If you want to support us, check out the links below. Follow us on social media. Hit the subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. You can check out goodestco.com for the latest merch drops. Hit up the Patreon. See what we got cooking on there. We appreciate you guys.